हुआ स्टार्ट। हाँ। ठीक है, सबके फोन हो गए ना सर।
Anushka and
Hello.
रुक जाओ अभी।
A very warm and pleasant good evening to everyone. I, Ashima, with my co host Anushka, welcome you all to Hack in the North. We're extremely happy to have you all with us in this 36-hour long journey.
Atlassian Presence Hack in the North, in association with Headout, is one of the largest student-held hackathons in India. It is an initiative taken by the students of IIIT Allahabad to encourage students to dream big and to build something that has the potential to make an impact. We strive to provide you, the young minds of India, an opportunity to bring your ideas to life. We are back this year with a fifth iteration, so fasten your seatbelts and get ready to hop on this 36-hour long roller coaster with us.
Hint 5 is proud to have Atlassian as its title sponsor. Atlassian is a multinational software company that develops products for software engineers, product managers, and other software development teams. Atlassian makes tools like Jira and Trello that are used by thousands of teams worldwide. Jira is a proprietary issue tracking product that allows bug tracking and agile product management. Trello is a web based Kanban style list making application and is developed by Trello Enterprise, a subsidiary of Atlassian only. To know more about these tools, please check out their official websites.
To ensure that you don't get bored on this journey, we have some fun events in store. We are organizing some events like Memathon and Trivia Quiz, where the winners will get some exciting goodies and swags. We also have some games for leisure and fun. So don't let your creativity die as we prepare to embark on this wonderful journey.
Speaking of journeys, I would like to take a moment to thank Head Out, a platform that helps us discover and explore cities, for being our associate sponsor. Head Out is an on demand mobile marketplace that allows you to discover and access real life experiences seamlessly in just 3 taps.
Before we start, make sure you're connected with us on our Discord channel. To kickstart day one, we have a series of enlightening talks for you. Nothing could be more exciting and amazing to start this journey with an informative insight on some new tech.
Today we have with us the one and only Akshay Saini, former software engineer at Paytm.
For that. And later on, I realized that, okay, I cannot code those websites. So what I used to do generally, I used to take the templates, which are pre-built templates, right? And then I used to just change the fonts and colors and some stuff from the CSS and try to sell it. Okay. So that's how I started my website building journey. And then I was very clear in my life that, okay, I want to do this because here is where my creativity is coming out. I was not interested in physics, I was not interested in chemistry and whatnot. I thought that, okay, this is what something which I want to do in life. And then I chose myself to be a computer science engineer, and that's how my basically personal project journey started. Even before college, nobody was asking me to build a website, I was just building it. The motivation that time was earning a little bit of money so that I can go and hang out with my friends, party, and don't have to ask my parents to get my pocket money. So that was the motivation, and then I like started building it around, right? When I went to college, so in the college, right, I went to I did not, I wasn't good at studies, right? I was not good at studies, so I landed up in a normal very tier 3 college. Okay. It was Manipal University, Jaipur, and it was a normal private college. I went to hostels and the same life started. But what happened was that journey of projects stayed with me. I was building projects then, and then I started and took that up even in a more larger scale. And I was just getting better as in when I was making websites. I was just getting better at it. And that's how I started building websites when I went to college also. So then now I started building website for myself. The first website I built was a personal portfolio. Okay, and then I also when I went to college, I was introduced to this word freelancing. So I thought that, okay, what's freelancing, right? What can I do with this, and how can I make money online, right? I Whenever I used to search for how to make money online, there were one of the things were always freelancing, blogging, designing, something, and then there was freelancing. I was like, that sounds very interesting, freelancing. That term was a very new to me. So I thought that, okay, let me explore that. Then I explored and saw that, okay, if you can help somebody with some technical product or some skill, you can get money out of it. And what I knew was making websites. And that time, today, everybody, there are so many solutions. You can just go and go to some websites. In a few clicks of button, you can just launch your website in a go, right? But that time nothing was possible. Okay, so it was not that seamless as it is today. So I took that as a career, and I thought that, okay, I can make money out of it. How? Because I knew how to make websites, and websites, everybody wanted websites. So I first of all, I created my own website, and then I started like, and then I sent it across to all my college friends, and everybody was like, "Oh, cool! Akshay has a website. Oh my god! Like akshaysaini.in, right? That's something which used to be very cool, right? That point of time when I was graduating, like in the first year, I used to have a website, and it used to look very cool. There was a fancy slider, and then it used to move here and there. That was something which was very new at that time, right? Today, nobody uses the sliders, but still, right? So that's how things started. And then suddenly, I sent it across in few WhatsApp groups, and suddenly some people started approaching me. Some of my friends, some of my seniors, they came up, yeah, I also want a website. I Can you make it one for me? Okay, so I was like, oh my god, this is something serious. So and nobody knew how much money it takes to build a website. And then the companies outside, if you just search for it, they used to charge a lot of money. So I started building websites for them for just $100. I said, give me $100, I'll get you a website. So that's how basically I started, and that's how my personal project journey started. Okay. And instead of thinking it from a point of how I can build a personal project, I was having a mindset of an entrepreneur. How can I build something which can be sold? I was not building websites, I was building something which can be sold. Okay. And something which the person who is buying from me cannot make it himself. They don't, the people who are there, they don't have that skill, or they don't have that time or that energy or that talent to build their websites on their own. So I have to, so then and then I just showcase my work. Okay. That's what I did. And then suddenly I started getting leads. So now I said that, okay, this game is getting serious. I started, and every time I made a new website, that senior used to flaunt it up in their WhatsApp groups, on Facebook pages, and all the groups. And I dropped a small link below the website saying that designed by Akshay Saini. Okay. And then that used to redirect it to my website. So I started getting more and more popularity because of this. And then starting from 100, I started charging 500,000 rupees for a website also. So that's how basically I started. But then I was fed up. Like every time I was doing the same thing, I was like, it's so boring to like create somebody else's website. And then there were few of my seniors. They gave me like random pictures in posing some Superman pose, and then they are like, he put it up on a slider so that whenever somebody opens up our website, and then you see that Spider-Man pose and our senior over there. So I was just fed up. So I thought that, okay, let me quit that up and make it a serious business. Okay, make it into, grow it. Like, how can I grow it? That's what the thoughts which were coming to my mind. Then I started realizing, okay, so the biggest learning at that point of time was finding, not that, okay, I can make a website, can help. What I was doing was, I was finding the pain point, or I'm trying to sell something which the other person who is a buyer cannot do it themselves. That's the main learning which I got. Okay. So now the problem I found was, okay, now these people are students, they don't have money, so I can't charge them more than a certain limit, right? So I realized the problem, okay, these people are not the right people whom I am approaching to. The skills and talent, the website is something which is very important, right? Which is something which makes me very unique, aligns with my skills, but the people are not right. What I started doing it, then I tried searching for freelancing, right? Freelancing gigs online. I went to online, but there was so much competition out there. So many people building websites, right? Then I was again lost. Okay, I was not getting any gigs online from freelancing, and then there was just these people who were saying, "Ki, okay, build my personal websites and whatnot," and I was fed up. Then I realized that, okay, the good target audience could be businesses. Okay, then I started finding out that what business can I reach out to. And you know how I started? That would be, you would be amazed to know that what happened. I was studying in Jaipur, right? And Jaipur has a very huge market of tourism. Okay, so a lot of foreigners come over here, and like they go to deserts in Jaisalmer, and then they just want to go to Jaipur, and then they go to Hawa Mahal. They want to see the forts, right? So forts, heritage. So like everything, they just love it, right? They come to Jaipur always, right? So what happened, I had a friend, okay, and then his father had a business of tourism. I still remember they had this business of tourism, and then what they used to do was they were tied up with this aggregators like Make My Trip or some other online booking.com and all those platforms. So they used to rely on their leads on these platforms. These platforms used to collect those tourists and then give it to them, and then they used to charge a lot of commissions for them. And now I saw a potential where I can pitch in. You know how, right? You are smart people, you would know that how would I have plugged it, right? So what I did was, I just went to his dad, and then I said, see, I can help you build a website where your foreign clients can directly come in and book it on your website, and then there is no commission which you have to give it to the other partners, right? You don't have to do anything. Now they can just pay you there only. So then I just said it cool, right? I was being cool. I just said it to them that, okay, we can build something like that. I told them the plan, and then I made them a millionaire in that plan. Okay, I just said, if suppose 1,000 people register in 10,000 rupees, and then you become a millionaire and I become a millionaire, something like that. And everything was done. His dad was like, oh, go ahead, Akshay, like it sounds so cool. But at the end of the day, I never knew how would I build it. I never knew how payment gateways are integrated. I don't know how authentication is managed, how that flow will work. Like, so then I realized, okay, this is something like I don't know, right? It's not making a static website, right? So so see, I am just telling you my story not because I'm bragging something or something, but I just want you to learn from it. What you can learn from it, what I learned from it was, I was not focusing upon what skills I know. Okay. So I knew building static websites. I was not focusing upon that. If I was just focusing upon static websites, I could have just thought, let me make more websites. Let me make 20 websites a day today. Earlier, I was making one website a day, then two websites a day. Then I kind of made a 20 websites a day. I don't want to go into that space. But I changed myself. I changed my mindset into shifting. How can I take bigger problems and solve it? What today I see in students is, they are like, I know React, I know how to build this, and then they try to find a project which aligns to their React. That's a very small, very small thing to notice. Very small. You have to change your perspective towards looking at things. So we generally think, okay, I know Python scrappy. I know how to scrap websites. So now you will just look for the projects which, like, let me scrap this, let me scrap that. No, you don't have to do that. That's okay when you have to learn that technology. But if you have to make a serious project, a big project, you have to think from the user's point of view. Whom are you helping? Customer should be the first person to think about the problem statement, then come on to using the technology. This is what I wanted to tell you with my story. This is what I did. Now moving on, okay. I never knew how payment gateways were integrated. I never knew how international payments would work. I never knew how banks would interchange the currency and whatnot. But this this project made me figure out so many things which I cannot have thought about. Right? This was a very big learning, and I kind of took that up as a project because, or Australia or England or US. So basically I found out that, okay, there were so many people from the US who travel in winters, in time around New Year, to Jaipur and to Udaipur, right? That's a famous season, right? So I started having those campaigns, having those discount things. So I used to also write those marketing tricks, right? That $799, and then you cut it and then you write $399. So I did all that stuff. That was something which I was doing out of curiosity, because I was not focused on what I know. I did not restrict myself onto a particular technology. This is what I wanted to tell you with my story. And then again, it started building up. And then I realized that, okay, SEO is something which is like really important. You can make a website today, but you cannot rank it up on Google. Can you? It's very tough. Very tough. That's the biggest challenge for everybody today. They are struggling to rank up on social media. Then I started learning about SEO, started learning about blogging, started learning how these news websites, as in when something happens, news websites write an article and that will be within few seconds on the top page of Google. How it comes. I started studying that. And then that is what set up a ground, okay? That is what set the ground for my startup, which I built in college. So a lot of people over here in this call, and I have not told this, this is the first time I am telling in public about my startup. Generally I don't talk about it, but this is the whole story which happened. Just because today the topic was personal projects, I am telling you the background of how I built a startup. I ended up building a startup in my third year of the college itself. That this is how it started up. And then I realized that, okay, I can build a news website which will rank the articles on top of Google, because I was learning my SEO skills. I was practicing it. So that is when I started my startup in college, which was known as Boiling News. As boiling as the name it sounds. Okay, but the main idea was I will just break the news and try to rank on top of Google. And to some extent I was very successful in it. I'm not sure how many of you remember the movie Ranjana. Has anybody seen that? Not sure how many of you have seen that movie, but that was the time Ranjana was released. And as in when a movie is released, right, there is a lot of surge in some specific keywords. What are those keywords? It's like Ranjana movie reviews, Ranjana movie wallpapers, Ranjana movie songs, Ranjana movie posters, Ranjana movie trailer, and whatnot. So what I did was I started taking these initial keywords as the traffic, right? Okay, as the source of truth, and I started aligning my website according to these important news articles. Whatever new used to happen, whether it is a movie coming in, or an earthquake happened, or some other event happened, or a cricket match is coming up, or a festival is coming up. So I used to start writing, posting about it, and then ranking my website on the top. That's what I used to do. And then because of that, I used to get a huge amount of traffic onto my website. I used to show Google ads. I used to have sponsorships on that, right? I had paid commercials. So that's how I started making a lot of money. That was the whole idea behind Boiling News. So now circling back to what I started with, okay? So If I had not taken up these small projects, building a website for my friend or building a website for myself or something, I wouldn't have reached here. And once I was doing this, I was learning insane amount of things. I started helping my college with building website for a club, right? Just like you have this, you have clubs, right, in the college. So we had a IEEE club. So I built official website of that. We used to have a tech fest. I built websites for tech fest. So when I started doing more and more things, so people used to recognize me as a very good web developer, and then they started giving me projects out of it. So that's what was the importance of personal projects in my life, right? And then it just stayed with me. When I now today also, right, today also, you will, when you will today, right, after few years, you will get to your job. Okay, you will be working in some MNC, you will be working in some companies. You won't get much time to build your to build projects or something. But I would tell you, don't stop building personal projects even if you are working in college. I kept doing it because it was something which used to give me a space for exploration and innovation. How? Okay, because, so suppose I was working in I started working in companies, right? So in companies you generally don't have a lot of freedom. When I say freedom, today I am in Uber, I am working on React, I am working on GraphQL, I am working on Node, I am working on these tech stack, I am working on finance domain in Uber. But today I see metaverse is coming up, web3.js is coming up, Flutter is coming up, so many new things are coming up. If, and I am that guy, I want to jump into everything. It's like, it just drives me, okay, crazy, that okay, something new tech is coming up, let me see that. So what I do today is I try to make side projects into these things. Even today I am planning to, I generally take out a weekend off, and then I try to explore a new technology, whether it is web3.js or something like that, right? So because but nobody asked me to do it. It's okay if I not do it. Nobody is asking me to do it, or nobody is, I don't even know whether I will even make a project in it or make a big startup in it or something, but I just want to do it because I am curious about it. So what I want to give you, and I want you to take away from this whole session or from my whole journey, is that stay curious. Okay, stay curious, and don't just think about what you know, think about the pain points you can solve, and be a engineer that यार जो आएगा आगे हम कर लेंगे. If it requires to learn me digital marketing, I will do. Front end, I will do. Back end, I will do. I might not be expert at it, but let me understand how it works. And once I know everything right, now I can offload stuff easier. When I grew my startup, right? So I cannot do everything on my own. Then I started hiring few front end engineers, few back end engineers. But actually I knew what work I have to offload. If I never knew how websites are built, how digital marketing is done, how would I have offloaded it? Right? I wouldn't know. So I was very much mature about what I need to offload, how much time I am devoting to what, and what is being done in the right way. So this is what has helped me grow. This is what I would like to share with you all, that okay, be curious, try, be open to things, think from the customer's perspective. These are the best things. And everything I'm telling you is coming directly from my heart. There is nothing I've scripted or written some notes or something. It's just that coming up. Other advice I would like to give you. Okay, so this story might not be relevant today, right? Because today I think everybody in the call would know how to make a website, right? Now you would ask me, why are you Akshay telling me that okay, go make websites for your friend? I'm not telling you that, man. So the underlying fundamentals never change. and it will never change 10 years down the line also. What is that underlying principle? Find out problems and then try to apply technology to it. Okay, this will never change. Even today, you can find out problems and solve it in a way, because the technology has evolved, but the problems have remained same. I'll take one more example to quickly tell you that. So, if suppose the problem is, okay, now summers are coming up, everybody will feel hot, right? So the problem is that I am feeling hot. Okay, it's hot outside. I am feeling hot. Suppose this is the problem. Now get me five engineers and give them a problem. You have to probably like, I am feeling hot, how can you solve it? Okay, so five engineers will come up with five solutions. Somebody would make a fan out of it, right, on the top. Somebody would make a table fan out of it to solve this problem. Somebody would bring that hand fan. Okay, you take this hand fan. Somebody would just come and say, Akshay, this is not even a problem. You are living in a bad city or a bad place. Leave that place, go to some cold place. Or and some engineers can come up and build a AC also, right? Somebody can come up and build a AC also, because as in when we grew, as in when our industry grew, we got more in advanced in our technology, and then somebody built AC. The problem remained the same, but somebody built an AC. Tomorrow, suppose tomorrow we get so much advanced that we can just have a pill, right? We can just have a pill, we can take a pill and we might feel cool. We don't even need any gadget. Isn't it possible? Don't you think it is realistic? Might be. I don't know. I am not the expert in that domain. But some crazy head might find out that, okay, these are the tablets, you can take a tablet and you will feel cool. You don't need any AC, you don't need anything. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the problem might be same, but the solution could be different. Because of this fundamental, Namaste JavaScript came in. Now you would see how did you connect this to Namaste JavaScript? Don't you think that Namaste JavaScript is my personal project? It's a personal project. You cannot say that personal project is a website only. No, personal project could be any project. How this fundamental applied and I was able to build Namaste JavaScript was, I took up a same problem everybody was trying to solve. That problem was teaching JavaScript. That problem was teaching JavaScript, understanding JavaScript. And I always faced, when I was a student of JavaScript, I always faced issues while doing it. It was my own problem I was trying to solve. Yeah, whenever I used to go to find a job, I have to study JavaScript and my head was messed up. What is the right thing? Everybody is telling me random things on the internet, on some blogs, on something. I took it up as a project and I said, okay, I want to teach JavaScript now. And I want to teach it in a way which is very modern, which is very new. What did I do? Whenever you think of a teacher, right, what comes to your head? Close your eyes and think of a teacher. You would see a teacher like on a blackboard writing something, speaking slowly. I wanted to change all that thing. I'm not sure how many of you have watched Namaste JavaScript, but if you had, go ahead and look at it. I am trying to change that thing, wanting to make some difference in education. I want to try out new things. I want to say that, okay, teacher can be cool. Teacher can make jokes. Teachers can crack jokes. Teacher can teach in a good manner. Teacher can be enthusiastic. So, one of the best study materials are available on the internet, right? From the best of the professors on the website nptl.com. Don't you think those IIT professors are like the coolest or the best teachers in the world, or the people who are really good in their fields? But still, go and watch their lectures. Do you feel like watching it? Generally, we don't feel like watching it. So The main reason is they are not enthusiastic. They are not, and we are the students. We are the Instagram, or we are the Instagram age. We are the Facebook age. We are the YouTube age, and we don't want to. And then once I am scrolling reels on Instagram, my attention span is so less. My Like, I have seen like really good stuff, okay, in terms of animations, in terms of audio quality, in terms of video quality, in terms of everything. Now when I see those NPTEL lectures, or when I see those lectures, I don't feel connected to it. I feel that, okay, it's very boring, it's very slow, it's very long, lengthy, like 2 hours of video is explaining just a small concept. I feel it very slow. So we need a modern way to teach. These are the basic fundamentals I applied and into Namaste JavaScript, which people are loving it. Who knows, tomorrow somebody would be teaching up on a VR, or somebody would be building a lens which you can just have it in your glasses, and you might see something, or you might learn in a different fashion. Who knows, in metaverse you would be learning in some other way. So what I'm saying is, the problem remains the same. It's how you solve it can be very innovative and different. And being an engineer, right? True definition of engineer in one word would be jugadu, right? You have to be jugadu enough to understand what tech today works, what the audience need today, right? What the users need, and that is what you can build up your project on. This is a sincere advice which I would like to give you. So I think I took a lot of time here. It's 5:46, and I think we also have to take some Q&A, right? Did you plan, or?
Yes, sir. We do have some questions for you, and it was very inspirational, sir. Thank you for all the
Okay,
advice.
cool. So I think let me just stop here for a while, okay, and take the questions. And if we have some time, we can continue. Otherwise, I can keep talking about this for like hours. let me let me pause for a while. Okay. So yeah, let's go
Yes,
ahead to the
sir.
questions. But you understand the gist of it, summary of it, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So one of the questions we have is, so with Web3 creating a buzz in the developer community, do you think it's the right time to switch to Web3?
So see, I always say that, okay, matlab, when you are testing waters, don't just directly jump into the water. Test it with your 1 feet in. Okay. So when you are doing that, okay, when you know that, okay, you believe in it. Sometimes we do things because we believe in it, right? A lot of people invest in crypto just because they believe in it. They don't even know the logic behind it. They don't know how it works. They don't understand anything about it. They just believe in it, okay, that the world is moving towards crypto, and then let me invest it, right? So if you believe in it, if you find it interesting enough to do, try to build a side project in it. I am also interested in Web3. I have in my to-do list, right? I create a to-do list for myself, and in that to-do list, I have Web3 in it. You will study, and I will also study. Okay. And then how I would do it, I would not bet my career on it. I don't do that. Some people might just leave their job, and then they just get fascinated, and then start working on Web3. But what I advise to people, and what's a safe way to do it, take up new thing, try to understand. Okay, sometimes things look very cool from outside, but when you start doing it, you feel, yeah, this is not something which is like giving me that kick, right? After you jump into it, you see that, okay, this is not something which I really like. So first of all, try to see if it makes sense to you, if it interests you enough, if future is there, if potential is there. And once you are sure, then only bet your career on it. That's what I advise to everyone. But again, that's my advice. You can take it up if you want to, or just don't, but that's what I do. So what I'll be doing is, I would be starting something on the side. I will see what is the potential of Web3, what I can build. At least just you every technology is like a tool. Okay. So suppose if you are given a new tool, suppose a hammer, right? So don't just start doing everything with hammer. Okay. Don't just start doing everything with a hammer. There is a different use case for a screwdriver. You cannot use a hammer in place of a screwdriver, right?
Yes,
So
right.
when you have given a hammer, in this case maybe Web3, just take it up, understand what it is, what is the hammer, understand its use cases, what it is trying to solve, test it up. Okay, just see that, okay, can the nail go in, right? Just test it one nail. Once you have figured that out, once you know, okay, hammer is something which I want to be expert in, then bet your career on it.
Yes,
Make
sir.
sense?
Yes, sir. The analogy was perfect, sir. We got it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so one more question we have is like Namaste JavaScript was a hit. So do we have like some more courses coming up like these?
Yes, definitely. So, to be very honest, I am telling you over here in front of everyone. See, engineering is something which is like which I really love doing, right? I love to solve problems, and I don't call myself as a computer science, a JavaScript developer or a software developer or something. I call myself as an engineer. I love to solve problems, whatever it takes. And it just happened to be that JavaScript is something which I started liking it just because how it is, right? I just started enjoying doing it. That does not mean I hate something or something. Now, and the other thing which has always remained to me is teaching. I am a firm believer of teaching. Teaching, as much as today the world needs engineers, doctors, scientists, startup enthusiasts, right? Entrepreneurs. Similarly, we also need a lot of teachers out there. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, scientist, and doctors and engineers, but nobody wants to be a teacher today. Anybody in this call who have thought of being a teacher?
Not yet, sir.
Very, very less. Like, I mean, I don't think anybody would have thought about it. But
Reality.
teaching is something which I really like. I would love to, once I retire, I would probably be going into mountains and teaching. Okay, that's my retirement plan. So teaching is something which is very, very much inherent and core to me. I really enjoy and love teaching. It is just that sometimes, when I'm occupied with some solving a problem in my job or something, I don't get time. But yes, to answer your question, whether I'll be coming up with new series or new things, yes, I would definitely be. The teacher is like never dead in me. In fact, at some point of time, engineer can go dead in me, but teacher won't. So
So we will wait for
I'll
your.
come back. I'll come back and I'll try to just keep innovating and keep innovating the methods of teaching also. I want to educate people and do it in a very good way. Like how I feel that, okay, somebody would have taught me. I want to be that teacher. More things
That,
will be coming up. Yes, yes.
yes, sir. We'll wait for your courses, sir. We love
Yes,
your course.
definitely. Yep, yep.
Okay, so like have you talked about like starting building projects for solving problems? So how to bring in some unique ideas, like how to look out for the problems,
See,
where to
that's what I
start?
wanted to tell with my example, right? Sometimes you don't need a unique idea. You just need a new way to solve it. If you're feeling hot, you can get a pill also. Why don't somebody is like, is it possible? I feel that, okay, sometime, in future this will come. Somebody would innovate a pill which you just take it and you don't feel cold, like you don't feel hot. And sometimes it can happen that, okay, you get a pill and then you don't feel hungry because we waste a lot of time in eating. Not really. I mean, we enjoy eating. I'm just kidding. But again, you understand the point behind it, right? So what I'm trying to say is that there are two ways. Either you can find out new ideas, or you can take up the same problem and solve it in a new way. Got it? And
Yes.
then now you will ask me a question, okay? Before you ask me that question, I know it would be your next question, that how to find those ideas, right? A lot
Yeah.
of people would be in this call asking for the same thing. How to find ideas? How to find this unique idea? How to do that? How to do this? It sounds cool, right? Everybody is feeling hot, but nobody, I don't know biology to make a pill, right? So many people would say. So let me tell you how you think about ideas, right? For me, ideas come from something around me, right? So we do a lot of things, right, today. So think about sectors. There is a food industry, there is a tech industry, there is a travel industry, there is an entertainment industry, there is an education industry, there is a health industry, there is a so many industries out there, constructor industry, medicine industry, so many industries out there. Pick up one, something excites you. For me, finance used to excites me a lot. And secondly, now I have started inclining more towards education industry because I can connect to it a lot. But you can pick it up anything, right? If somebody is coming from a business family, you can solve problems for entrepreneurs. So what I'm trying to say is find out people or the area where you want to solve problem in. Try to see what are the problems people are facing. And then try to use your own engineering head. Whatever you have learned so far, whatever you have seen so far, whatever products you have seen so far, and then try to can you solve it in a way with your skills is something what you have to do. Today I found it as I mean you there are various ways to do it, right? Today Zomato is doing 10 minutes delivery. Somebody thought of doing 10 minutes of something in their domain, right? The process could be different. Zomato is doing up by setting dark stores and having more delivery guys and whatnot. Like if you see the business model of it, you can do it in a different way, right? What about building a website in 10 minutes? What about building something in 10 minutes? What else? I'm just giving you ideas. Like it's just that how you solve it, right? So in if you take the problems of students itself, right? So how Geeks for Geeks was started? It was started with a simple problem that people were like facing. That okay, we don't have a same one website where you can find all these DS algo problems, and then somebody thought of creating a Geeks for Geeks or Lead Code or something. If you want to take up, and there was one video on my YouTube channel, go ahead and watch that, where I brainstormed these ideas into I gave 5 ideas, I think, over there, and those were like very unique 5 ideas in very different domains. So once you watch that video, I also told you the thought process around how I came up with those ideas. So if you watch that video, like it would be a little lengthy video, 30 minutes or 40 minutes video. That would open up your mind. I'm not telling that go make those ideas, work on those projects, but that will open up your mind that how do you think about building projects. So go watch that video. Okay. So that would be best. It would be the video on my channel. You can find it out. Personal projects or project ideas or something like that was the title. I did a live stream and then I was brainstorming it. But there are a lot of things. Okay. And then I got those ideas from around me. So like when COVID was coming up, right? I'll give you one more thing. Okay. Suddenly what has happened is everything turned online. Everything was now happening online. So then a lot of old problems were solved for the online market. Isn't it? We generally used to have a talk on a stadium or a like on a stage or a auditorium, right? Now we are having it on a Zoom call. And then this itself has a lot of problems in it, right? I It's not solved fully, right? I don't enjoy talking like this. But again, this is the temporary solution for the problem. Somebody might innovate and make a VR where we are into that VR zone and I can actually experience an auditorium where you all are sitting. Happen. This will happen very soon. That we will be having our VR headsets. And if we turn around and if I see over here left and right and I'll see you all sitting in an auditorium. Can't you solve it? Don't you think it is possible? You can solve it, yeah? Everybody in this call, yeah, you are from Triple IT Allahabad. Come on. Cheer up. You can solve it. It's not something which is out of the box. I'm saying of like 10 years down the line. You can solve it today. And who knows, somebody might be already solving this. Right?
Yes.
And there could be so many more ideas, yeah. I mean, take up any problem and you get ideas. Once you start thinking about ideas, you start getting more ideas. If you don't get ideas, pick up your friend or someone or a group and then start talking about some industries. Okay, let's solve something in education. Today, today, one problem I'll tell you, so many problems. Everybody is facing a problem or of finding a partner for their projects. Today we are talking about personal projects. Now everybody knows that okay, if we build project in a team, that would improve us. I tell everybody that okay, make projects in a team, right? Now you would ask me that how would I form a team? I don't know how to find people around me. Why don't you solve this problem itself? Why can't we have a Tinder for software engineers? Where I am a Java guy, I can just right swipe or left swipe another software engineer and then uh, just find the partner for me. And then the other person also sees me. If both accept, then they just talk on a chat and then start building projects. Is it something which is out of the box? No, right?
No.
This is something very normal and don't you think that everybody needs it? So many students are there struggling for finding their correct partners in their projects.
Yes, sir. Yes, so you won't believe, but like as we are, reviewing applications for hackathons and all, our team was discussing the same Tinder for developers idea.
Yes. So I basically gave this in my video also. Like that was 6 months old video, and then I gave a lot more ideas there. Just go and like see that video. That would help you. And there are so many people who can like so many more ideas and innovative ideas you can come up with if you just start thinking about it.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Any more questions, or I think we are done with six, but I can stay here for 5-10 minutes more if you want to. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
up.
So we just saw your recent LinkedIn post, and it said that we should avoid cheap dopamine. Sir, what was it about? What is cheap dopamine, and how do we avoid, and why do we avoid cheap dopamine?
Okay. That's really nice thing which you pointed out. Okay. So basically, see, those LinkedIn posts you see, sometimes I am just see 24 hours a day, I am kind of observing everything what is happening, right? And then I talk to a lot of students, I talk to a lot of peers, and I see them what is going on in their life, or I observe myself, right? So like I can give a whole talk of 1 hour on for avoiding cheap dopamine itself, but I just like compiled all my thoughts and then came up with those three words. Okay, avoid cheap dopamine. So what? Like first of all, to understand that whole, right, it would take much time, but I'll give you in short. Okay. So first of all, try to find out, Anushka, where do you get dopamine from? What is the thing which how does that dopamine is generated in our bodies, right? And how in today's world we are living in excess of dopamine, more than which we would need. Dopamine is not bad. I said avoid it when you are getting it from cheap means. When I say cheap dopamine, it means develop a higher taste. Again, like if I start explaining, it will take 1 hour. But I would want to say that develop a higher taste. Observe yourself. Okay, so being like right now I'm just addressing all these college students. What I want to tell you is that okay, observe yourself what you are doing, how much time you are investing where. I don't say waste, investing where. Whether you are investing your time on social media, whether you are investing your time on Netflix, whether you are investing your time where. See, just observe it, right? And there is a famous blog also I wrote. Like it went viral. That was the first blog I wrote on Hashnode. Hardest challenge for college students. It was the name of that thing was the blog was hardest challenge faced by college students. Okay, and that was you can go to blog.akshaysaini.in, my blog. Okay, so just read that up. You would find like thoughts around this. It is very much aligned to it. But it talks about intelligent distractions, that how much distracted we are. Today we are in that age, Anushka, which the students of previous generations or like students have not seen so far. Today we are having different struggles for students. Today we are into that access information zone where every time we are just pushed so much information into our head which we cannot digest. That is the reason for so much mental traumas happening, and then people suffering from mental issues, students suffering from mental issues even more. With, you know, today we go to LinkedIn, there are so many people who feel bad, sad. How? They see everybody succeeding in their lives. They see that person is doing so much, that person cracked something, that person cracked IIT, that person is doing good at lead code, that person is making some personal project. And then it was not there like few years back. Nobody knew what other people are doing, and then they were happily living in their own zone. So now I don't say that okay, stop using LinkedIn. That's not the solution. Avoiding is not the solution. The best solution is accepting it and realization that okay, this is happening to me. This is okay. There's no solution to it. Okay, there is no solution to it. And I'm not saying that okay, don't use LinkedIn or don't do this, don't do that. I'm just saying that okay, understand what's happening around us and how world has changed. Realize that okay, this is what is happening and be okay with it. So avoiding cheap dopamine is so many things. Uh, will somehow write something or keep following my post on LinkedIn. Okay, I would
Yes,
say,
sir.
and I'll try to explain it slowly in my posts
Okay, sir.
over the period of time.
Yes, sir, sure. So could we have just like one more question if you
Yes,
have
yes,
the
we can
time?
take up. We can take up. So
Okay, sir.
actually, I reserved till 6:30. I have blocked my calendar, so you can take up. No issues. I'm good.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. So, like with such a dynamic environment surrounding development, is it possible that the skills we are learning now may become obsolete?
Yes, it will. It not might. It will. Everything will be obsolete. So everybody was how do people used to travel in like old days? They had a horse, right? They were just riding on a horse and traveling to other places. They had a bullock cart and whatnot, right? And then we innovated cars, then we innovated planes and whatnot, and the innovation will continue. Tomorrow we might also teleport. Who knows? Today you would feel okay, our Akshay is like came over here and speaking whatever he wants to. But I'm not kidding. Tomorrow we might develop something uh, which would let you like teleport or go to any place you want to. Or if, let me take a pause and say, you might not teleport, but your persona can, or your image can, which just looks like you. Who knows, right? This is very much possible if you think in some way, right? So technology will change, okay, Anushka? Technology will change. But fundamentals does not change. What do you mean by fundamentals does not change? See, today today you would say okay Akshay, you are teaching JavaScript. Tomorrow people might like stop using JavaScript. It's okay. Somebody would be using something else, right? I'll teach that. What's there? We are engineers, right? Today
Yeah.
React is popular in market, tomorrow there will be something else. Who knows, right? And then our engineers, as an engineers, we will learn that and build something, right? We are not JavaScript developers, or we are not React developers, we are not Angular developers, Python developers. We are engineers. At the end of the day, we are here to solve problems. See, what is they see, it's not constant, right? Technologies are not constant. We don't know what will come tomorrow, but what we know is problems will always be there, and problem solvers are us. There will always be problems. This is world of problems.
Yes, sir. Very, very true.
So you
Okay.
would technology will be obsolete, and it's not might. You said ki it might be obsolete. No, it will.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Right. Also, sir, like, would you like to comment on your life at Uber?
Yeah,
How's it
yeah, yeah,
going?
definitely. Why not? It's been like three years, and like I think 3-4 months more. I have been in Uber now. So it's been a great journey. Okay. So I mean, if Uber is coming to your college, I think it comes. Yeah. I have been to Triple IT for interviews, taking interviews. I'll come to your campus this time maybe.
Yes, sir.
So actually,
Our team would love to meet you, sir.
yes, yes, yeah, definitely. If it's happening offline, then I probably come. But again, like otherwise, I'll include myself in panel. So whenever we take interviews, right? Whenever we are hiring, right? So generally, we get a form where you need to fill which campus you want to go to. So I'll just fill this time. I'll come for you, sure. But again, like coming, I enjoyed this conversation. But yes, like, uh, what was your question? I forgot your question. What was
So
it?
your life at Uber, sir.
Life at Uber. Yes, yes, yes. So life at Uber is so definitely. So first of all, like you, when I'll come, we'll hire few of you folks, then come over here, and then you will see the lifestyle. But first of all, just let me brief you a little about what we do. So generally, Uber, right? The best thing, see, everybody can have their own personal opinions over lifestyle or work-life balance or something. Which the things which I personally really like about Uber is the people whom I work with. The people whom I work with are excellent, right? The best mind of the countries, and I learn from them so much. Like when I see myself 3 years back and now, right? I am in the same company, and then I can obviously go back to my 3 years old code and see that I am ashamed of the code which I wrote 3 years back. And in a way it is funny, but in a way it is inspiring too, right? If like every 6 months I am learning something new, which is something like out of the box, which challenges me, pushes me up, right? So and that was only possible because of good people around me. So the first thing which I always tell is the first best thing which I like about Uber is the people over here. They're very helpful. We are working on like good projects out there, and then you want to reach out to to someone to ask for help. Everybody is ready to help. There are senior engineers who have built so many big scalable projects, right? So they help you with your design skills, your coding skills. When you write code and give it to your seniors, they will just like, I can make a meme of that Bill slapping Chris, right, which is getting popular.
Yeah.
when I, so it just came to my mind when I submit my code to senior engineer for reviewing it, and then senior engineer will like slapping me. So so it happens, right? When they give you feedback over your code, when they give you feedback over your design, that is something which you cannot learn from yourself. How would you learn, right? You will have to make a lot of mistakes to do that. But those mistakes, because that senior engineer has already made in his career, now helps me learn very much faster. So that's something which I really like about Uber. The other thing which I really like about Uber is the projects and the ownership which I get, which, like, everybody is working on a critical piece of chunk in Uber. Like, when I compare to other companies or bigger companies, right? So generally, you are a part of a very small thing happening somewhere in the corner. In Uber, I feel good when I think about I'm working on a very critical piece of the financial domain inside Uber. That the project which I really like, and I have been leading it. I have been leading. I have worked on around 5-6 projects over here, total in 3 years. I am currently leading two of them, and those two projects are like very critical. So when I'm the owner of it, I get a sense of responsibility that everything happening over here is on my onus, right? I make sure that these projects are running perfectly, they are bug free, and then I have built it. How will I scale it? How will I make sure that things are seamlessly? And I'm learning a lot while going through that journey. So these are like two major things which I love about Uber, Anushka. And yep, yeah.
Yes, sir. Listening to you, it feels like it would be like such a
And I
pleasure to
and
work at Uber.
yeah, you said that, okay, life in Uber, I am like really enjoying it. If you ask me, I'm really enjoying it. Right? Yes.
That's very nice, sir. Also, like, if we could take one more question, if time
Yes, yes,
permits.
yes.
Okay,
Yep,
sir.
yep. We can continue till 6:30. Yep.
Okay, sir. So,
Okay.
like, we saw your LinkedIn post regarding fear during interviews. So, I guess we all do get nervous during our tech interviews. So, how do you, like, what are some tips to overcome it?
Yes, yes, yes. I think you people read my LinkedIn quite often.
Yes, sir. We follow you, sir.
Okay, okay. That's nice. Basically, if it's happening, that's really nice. That's where I kind of try to write. I kind of observe what is happening around with students, and then I try to write, right? Because I feel that okay, I cannot go to everyone and just tell them, right? I don't have that way to saying, but I just write a LinkedIn post. So some people who genuinely follow or take a thought over what I write benefits from it. Like I get a lot of messages from them. Okay, Akshay, you wrote that, and somehow it hit me somewhere in some corner, and then I learned something. But yes, coming back to your question, that okay, so nervousness, right? It is bound to happen. Okay, so it will happen. And the best thing, as when I'm sitting on the other side of the table while taking an interview, I am an interviewer, you are interviewee, right? I am aware that you are nervous. I have been into that scenarios when I go inside a room and to take interview, and then I see a student sitting in and he's literally sweating, like sweat is coming from him. And happens, right? And then
Yeah.
I feel, oh my God, come on, this is not a war going around that okay, I am having a gun pointed on you, and like you don't need to worry about it. So it happens, and this is very common. It happens. It has happened with me. I'll give you an example. I'll share you an example. Okay, I remember I was in. I was just. I was in Paytm, I guess, right? Yeah, after Pay, like no, before Paytm, right? So I was in the intermediate. I was giving interviews. Okay, so I gave this interview for Microsoft. Called me, and Microsoft was kind of like something like I wanted to work for, or I was very excited about Microsoft. So I went to that interview room, and I went to that office and I was like, oh my God, what a beautiful office it has. And it was very fancy. I was so much fascinated with working for Microsoft. So then I went to the interview room, okay, in my first interview. Earlier the interviews used to happen on a whiteboard, right? Today we have this online Zoom calls and whatnot. I went to that whiteboard and I took up the marker, and that interviewer asked me some matrix question. Okay, that matrix 3 by 3 matrix or some grid question. I don't remember it. I think yes, that you have to print that matrix in a spiral order kind of stuff, right? You would have done that, right? So and
Yeah.
then I knew that question. Okay, that was I knew I have done that before, and I knew that okay I can do it. But as in when I took that marker and started writing something on that board, and I felt that okay, my hand is shivering. Okay, I literally my hand is shivering, and I don't know what's happening to me. And then I started feeling, yeah, what will the interviewer think? Now I started shivering even more. Okay, I was thinking that okay, now I am shivering, and interviewer is looking at me, and then how he would be feeling that okay, I don't know anything, and lots of thoughts started coming in my mind that okay, he's feeling bad about me. How am I looking? Am I looking good? Am I sounding nervous? Am I even making sense? Should I continue in Hindi or English? Because I am like words are not coming out. So many things happen, right? But the best thing is, Anushka and Ashima over here, is that interviewers understand that you are nervous. So be okay with it. Accept it that okay, you are nervous. It's okay. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to fumble. It's okay to hallucinate if you want to. It's okay to take a glass and drink water in front of the interview. It's totally fine. Nobody is deducting your marks for it. Be comfortable. Be comfortable. Whatever it takes. Many people think that okay, it will be bad if I ask for water. No, it's okay. It's okay. And I bet you no interviewer will ever mind if you ask them, okay, can I have a water? I'm feeling nervous. You will talk to them. If you will just go to the interviewer and say, I'm feeling nervous, they'll be like, okay, 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 bro, chill. So accept it. Okay, everybody is same. That वही होता है ना, क्योंकि सास भी कभी बहुत ही वैसे ही होता है. That interviewer was also once the interviewee.
Yeah.
Okay, so they were also at that place. Everybody goes through that place. Everybody has to go through it. Everybody gets nervous. Even senior people, right? Earlier, and the same thing happens every time you do something new, you feel nervous about it. So just accept it. I don't know the solution very much to it. It would be very specific to other person. Some people, how to, how can you reduce nervousness, up to a limit is being comfortable. And how it happens is, I have written a LinkedIn post on this also. If you have read, I'm not sure or not. But before giving an interview, okay, so I have given you tips for online interviews. Okay, there was a post. Okay, just go in the previous post. You might find it somewhere few months back. I wrote it. So basically, what I was trying to say is that make sure that everything is very good over here. Okay, everything, when you are giving interview, you are very much comfortable. How you can be comfortable? Keep a water bottle near you. Small things. Keep a pen pencil near you. It's, I have seen, okay, when I take interviews, right, so I say that, okay, solve this problem, these are numbers, and then the person is like, oh my god, I did not have a pen and paper with me, and then he's rushing. I am like literally hearing the sound of a person running into the next room and getting his pen and paper, right? So be prepared. And then, once you came up and then you are in that panic mode. So make sure you are comfortable when you are giving interviews. How can you reduce that comfort? Like, how can you be comfortable is keep a water bottle with you, keep a good internet connection and a backup internet connection with you, have your charging port in. Most of the people forget, and then their laptop switches off directly because it's not charged, right? Small things. Keep a pen and paper ready with you. Like, be comfortable, have a good posture, see, like, tell everybody in the room or in your family or whosoever is staying outside that, okay, I am having an interview or I'm having a meeting or something, so that they don't bug you. I've seen so many times in interview, generally somebody just opens the door and comes up, and then mom is scolding, dad is scolding them in front of interviewers. So
Yeah.
so be comfortable. That is what will reduce your nervousness. The second thing, and the most important one, is give mock interviews if you can. Mock interviews will reduce significant a little amount of nervousness. The third thing is, no, before going to the interview, understand that what you might face. Sometimes the reason of nervousness is you go to an interview and that was supposed to be a coding round or a DSL go round, and then somebody came in and started asking something random questions, right? So have a mindset clear, okay, what is going to happen. Whenever this is a life skill, I'm telling you, it's not just for your placements or something. It will help you across your career. Whenever you are giving any interviews, ask your HR or ask before the interview, what are you going to expect from this interview? And it's totally okay to ask the HR. Ask them whether the interviewer will ask me DSL Go problems, whether the interviewer will ask me to code it up on the laptop, build a React project, or what is going to happen, or a design problem. What can I expect out of that interview? And that HR
Yes.
will definitely help you. No HR will say that, okay, I don't know about it. HRs know everything. HRs even know the questions also which are being asked in the interviews most of the time. Okay,
Yes.
so generally ask them. Okay? That will help you reduce your nervousness. You would know, okay, okay, like like, okay, I am going to face two DS algo problems. So now you have that mindset before going to that interview. Okay, now I will go. I will have an introduction, and then we will have some DS algo problems. So have that mindset. And the fourth thing which you can take it up is prepare your introduction beforehand. Most of the times you don't have, like, it will always happen, right? It is meant to happen. Whenever you start an interview, there would be somebody asking about you, you would be asking about them or something like that. Just prepare your introduction or something ready, right?
Yes, sir.
So I think these are good enough points. But yes, I'll try
Yes.
to compile these all my thoughts to a post and definitely post it again on LinkedIn. Let's
Yes,
take that
sir.
up as a to do. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I guess these were all the questions we had.
Okay.
And thank you very much, sir. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you
Awesome,
so much,
Anushka.
sir.
Thank you for having me here. Yeah, I mean, it's an honor to be talking in front of you all. and looking forward to meeting you somewhere down in the career, working with you all somewhere.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Yep.
you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Have a nice day, sir.
Before we proceed, we would like to thank Name.com for being our diamond sponsor. Name.com is an ICANN accredited domain name registrar and web hosting company based in Denver, Colorado. The company sells DNS domains, web hosting, email services, SSL certificates, and other website products. Feel free to check them out at www.name.com.
Troubled mental health has been an issue that the society has neglected and often ridiculed for a long time. Anxiety and stress are causing multitudes of people to slip into the devastating clutches of depression. In situations like these, affordable and accessible therapy is of paramount importance. JumpingMinds.ai is a tool that leverages the advancements made in technology to address and combat this very issue.
We would like to invite Piyush Gupta, the co founder and chief product officer of Jumping Minds, to share his views on this topic.
Hello, sir.
Hi everyone.
Hello,
So,
sir.
Just give me a minute. I'll just share my screen. I have prepared a small deck.
sure, sir.
Okay, sir.
Cool. Do let me know if you can see the screen as well.
It is visible.
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to talk about what we're doing here at Jumping Minds. It's exciting for me to be talking at such an event. Being a developer myself, I understand the importance of hackathons. So it's amazing that you guys are doing this. So the topic that I'm going to cover is art of scaling applications, and it's something that I have kind of learned over my experience so far, and something that we are employing very heavily at Jumping Minds as well. So that's what I'm covering today. If you would let, I will just go on and start.
Yes, sir. Please take over, sir.
Perfect. So yeah, I'm going to talk about art of scaling applications today, and how do you go from 0 to 50 million concurrent user scale. So that's the topic. Cool. Just thought I will introduce myself before I start. So I am the co-founder and CTO at Jumping Minds AI Labs. I've had around 8 years of product and consumer tech experience across early to mid-stage startups. The most recent one was Disney Plus Hotstar. And at Disney Plus Hotstar, I built IPL social charts feed for 50 million concurrent user support, which ended up saving multi-million dollars for Hotstar alone. Across my career journey, I have been a full stack developer and engineering lead, and worked across multiple organizations after graduating from my college. I think that's pretty much about me. I will just quickly deep dive into what I'm going to cover today, and I will start with a basic introduction of Jumping Minds. So yeah, Jumping Minds, which rightly says "Chal baat karte hain," and as the speakers kind of rightly announced me as well, is about mental health, and mental health is something that is very important and relevant in this day and age. And that is where me and Ariba, my co-founder, who are both really good friends from 10 years, started up Jumping Minds together. And it started from something personal, right, where one of us was feeling really low one day, and Ariba kind of to talk to me and made me feel better. And we realized that there is such an inherent need for such platforms for you to go and openly talk about your issues and actually consult people who've gone through it, and not just therapists or experts for that matter, right? And that's what we started with Jumping Minds, where we're building a deep tech mental health and wellness ecosystem, enabling our users to talk to their community, to like-minded people in a safe, non-judgmental, and feel better in a safe, judgmental manner, with the goal of making them feel better instantaneously, right? We are already on a mission to spread 1 billion smiles across the country and globally, with a vision to become the first global mental health unicorn. And what we're trying to do with Jumping Minds is we've built a safe space for you to talk, engage, de-stress, and feel better from time to time, right? You will always have someone relatable to talk to. The space is very personalized to you. You can be real in yourself. There are no filters that are required here like Instagram or any other applications. You can get inspired and inspired others through your life experiences, right? Which is the most important aspect of it. And proud to say that we've recently crossed 100,000 downloads in Jumping Minds and are kind of growing really fast. So in that regard is when basically a need comes for scaling applications, right? So prior to Hotstar, I was basically building a socially engaging and immersive feed for our users at Hotstar. Any cricket fans here? Anyone who's watched a match on Disney Plus Hotstar? I'm sure a lot of developers, a lot of engineers watch cricket matches these days. So if you watch any live match on Hotstar's mobile app, this is basically the kind of experience that we had built there. I will just quickly play the video and let it kind of go on for some time. All right. I think some technical glitches. All right. So I built such an experience where it was very, yeah, it was very socially immersive for the users, where they can kind of engage, play games, comment when required, react to various emoticons. So to be able to build such an experience in real time, right, was the real challenge. And this system was capable of handling 50 million concurrent users at scale, right? And Hotstar actually made a record by cracking 26.8 million concurrent users on the IPL final. And so imagine this, a system which has capability to push personalized messages or can just ask me at the end of the talk. I have kept some time for Q&As as well. Cool.
Yes,
So
sir.
there are very basic. Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, sir. We'll take up the questions at the end, sir.
Perfect. Perfect. Sounds good. So, just will cover very quickly. So, these 10 important aspects, if you can basically kind of cover and fix, right, you would have actually scaled your application to a very high scale. So, first comes this database modeling and indexing, right? When you're designing an application, the most important aspect of it is what are your API entities and what will your database models look like, right? Because if you've really understood the use case, the application, right, of what you're trying to build and how are users going to access this information, right? And if you decide how it's going to be stored, it just makes your application really scalable and set up for success. Because the heart of what you're going to build is going to be models of the database. And if you are able to index the database properly, right, which basically impacts and improves the performance of your queries, it kind of takes your application scales really high, right? Once you've added database modeling and indexing properly, how do you know how your system is performing, right? It's by adding performance metrics and monitoring them through live real-time dashboards. This helps you not just debug issues and detect flaws, but also to be able to, just monitor your production environment so as to whether it is actually scaling up as expected or not, right? There are various resources which can become bottlenecks. It could be CPU, it could be memory, it could be IO, or it could just be the network on your instance. The idea for you to basically is identify which of these is causing the bottleneck and then go out and fix it, right? The third one basically would be query optimization, right? Often what we end up doing is, to be able to build our applications fast, right, we often take these decisions which are not the best in terms of our future or in terms of scalability, right? And what happens is our queries become very inefficient, right? Because the data that you are trying to access is now coming from 4 or multiple joins across tables, or is not properly indexed or not properly modeled, right? So the queries become really slow. For you to be able to identify what are slow queries, which ones are slow, and where you're doing too many queries, right, you can actually optimize your queries and improve the performance as well, right? The fourth one being data aggregation and caching, right? So often what will happen in your backend application is that you will have a lot of data which never really changes or does not change with a high frequency, right? For all of such data, caching becomes a very important aspect because caching just takes away entire performance load on the system by just serving it through cache, which are anyway fast access memory, right? Data aggregation on the other hand is also an efficient tool where you if let's say for example you are serving a user profile and you want statistics for the users from across multiple tables, it may make sense for you to aggregate that data once pre-computed into your profile or into your user model, and helps in serving the data when demanded, right? So data aggregation can actually help you aggregate the data together for use case basis, right? Covering on to the next one, lazy loading of data and using optimizations. So it's often recommended that you don't prefetch the data or you don't load the data instantaneously, and actually load it when it is required or when it is being asked upon, right? And that prevents basically deferring all of these loads, right? In case of cancelled requests, in case of slow queries, it makes the system efficient because you're not really fetching data in advance, right? You're basically waiting for the data to be requested, and that is when you fetch it from the databases as well. The next one being code optimization, reduce queries and avoiding queries in loops. Very important aspect, right? When we are building an application, and this is something that we have observed at Jumping Minds as well, right? Where when you're writing a lot of code, churning out a lot of features on top of each other, you end up writing a lot of code and your code becomes messy, not optimized, it has redundancies and it has bottlenecks, right? There are some queries where you're basically just looping over it, right? And it, instead of querying in loops, you can always go and use bulk queries. You can reduce your queries or you can optimize the code to be performant and more efficient, right? I think beyond this, so all of these are something that are very basic, right? Something that is well known in the industry. There are other aspects of it which are more harder to crack and actually, not that easily well versed with. So they are optimizing underlying machine, right? So every backend application is going to run on a backend server, right? And if you can make the most out of that hardware, the backend server and its software, you would have made the most out of the application as well, right? So if you can optimize any kernel parameters, any hardware parameters like file descriptors, shared memory, that actually helps you bring more out of a single instance, right? And again, helps you get more scale from your existing set of resources, right? Coming on to the next one. The next one basically covers vertical scaling versus horizontal scaling, right? So let me just take a minute to explain you what does it really mean, right? So when you're building an application, and let's say if you're deploying an application into one backend server, if you have the ability to multiply backend servers, that would be horizontal scaling, where you're replicating instances, right? But if you're able to extract more out of a given single server, that would mean vertical scaling, where you're able to take more out of a single instance or single resource. So if you're able to get more and more vertical scaling, your horizontal scaling actually gives you that much more impact, right? Because imagine if a backend server can handle 100,000 scale, if you were to multiply it, it would just multiply in numbers of 100,000. But if you've extracted more out of your backend server up to, let's say, 150,000 requests, then each of your server will actually will be giving you more and more traffic, right? So vertical scaling actually has an advantage in scaling the applications as compared to horizontal scaling, right? I have one more point which says manual scaling versus auto scaling, right? So this is one of the very important aspects which is required to scale applications, right? And I'll tell you a scenario. Imagine at Hotstar, what we used to see a lot of peak scales, right? We just sent a notification to 100 million users and a lot of users would come rushing into the application, and backend services needed to be automatically scaled to the capacity to handle that request, right? And in that situations, manual scaling becomes very erroneous and impacts the user experience. In those situations, having auto scaling rules, having auto scaling capabilities to your architecture or infrastructure becomes very important, right? And that is something what we very efficiently employ at Jumping Minds as well, where our one of the single instances is vertically scaled, and also we have auto scaling systems. Whenever the traffic increases, the system auto scales to handle the capabilities. So all of these 9 are basically something that you as a developer can very easily do, right? But when it comes to the 10th one, it becomes very difficult, and I'll tell you why. So at Hotstar, when we were, when we were building our application to handle 50 million concurrency, it was not an easy journey, to be honest, right? I will tell you, it was very difficult. So what we had to do was we used to continuously load test our applications in under stress situations, under happy path situations, simulating the production traffic to as to know how will our system perform when given under when under stress, right? And what performance testing actually enables you to do is it enables you to stress test your application and actually find out these nooks and corners which will break when put under stress. And what that enables you to do is if you're able to fix these flaws, these bottlenecks, then your service actually scales when even high traffic comes in, right? So hence actually leading your service to actually scale really high. And if you just do all of these 10 aspects of it, I'm sure you can build scale, build applications which go up to millions of scale, right? And this is something that we employed at Jumping Minds as well, right? So at Jumping Minds, like I told you, we were building a 24/7 instant secure platform. And to be able to serve such a platform, we needed a backend application which is not just available throughout 24/7, but is also performant, right? And it's actually, I would say, luckily or unluckily, we got multiple awards back in November of last year, where Google Play also recognized our app as best hidden gem app of the year. And by a lot of this organic love, we were getting a lot of traffic. And if you could look at the graph on the right side, right, our performance is actually degraded multifold because of this increase in traffic, right? And we were all scratching our heads as to how can we make the service more performant, the product better for users to use. And by employing all of these 10 aspects that I covered today, we were able to take our application performance and improve it 10x from 10 seconds up to 100 milliseconds. And this is something that we were able to do in a matter of just 1 week of our operation. And something that makes me really proud that a very small and young tech team at Jumping Minds as well was able to get this massive impact just by a matter of a week and by employing things that are not so common across the industry, right? So yeah, I think that's pretty much about what I wanted to cover today. If any of you have any questions about what I covered or what any questions that are coming to your mind, you can talk to me about it now or actually reach out to me and we can discuss it later. Just a shameless plug is what I would want to add, is that we are actively hiring across tech and product for mobile backend and web roles, both part-time and full-time. So if any of you or any of your friends are interested, do refer them to us. Yeah, I think I would just take a pause here and wait for any questions if there are.
Sure. Sure, sir.
Yes, sir. We do have a question. So, like any startup in its initial phases always, focuses on MVP. So rather than scaling, but once MVP is done, how can one think of, scaling the product?
So to be honest, I am of the, I'm sort of old school in this regard. So I will give you two sets of answer. What I prefer, to be honest, doing is that for you to build a startup, you can never hack it and then get to a point of building an MVP and then go, okay, now we will scale an application. It has to, a product is like a plant, nurtured properly and thought about it on every step of the way and built accordingly, right? So for example, for Jumping Minds, what we did was we added performance monitoring very early into our stages, right? So we were aware of all the bottlenecks as we were growing up. And it was not that one day we got realized that, okay, our performance is not up to the mark, right? Invest into thought process, into architecture, into giving up legacy code, right? Or let's say accounting for tech debt that you have encountered while building the MVP, right? So it has to be a journey across the way and not one point in time. However, if you've actually built an MVP, right, and are at a point where you have to scale an application, right, you can go through all of the scenarios that we told you, right, and basically just keep checking out each other, just crossing out one after the other. And if you've crossed all 10 out of those, you would have achieved an application which scales really well, right? So even if you're stuck at a point where you're having an MVP and you're seeing a lot of growth, right? Just go and look at your application, their use cases, their bottlenecks, and try and keep improving the efficiency and performance one by one. And you will actually get to a scaled application as well. For any detailed question or specific questions, you can always ping me on LinkedIn and we can actually discuss architecturally as well, how can your application scale in case if it is required?
Okay, sir. So we have one more question.
Please.
Can you comment on the various engineering roles in like scaling up,
All right. Very good
like
question
data
actually.
engineers, front
Right.
end
I think very good
developers?
question. So see, as a company grows from an early stage to like really high scale like Hotstar, there are several roles that become very important in scaling an application. For example, a developer who's building the features has to always think about production and also always think about scale, right? So that role is very important. A tester or a QA, automated QA or automation expert, is also very important because you can't really manually test applications at scale, right? Like I told you, so we were able to simulate a 25 million concurrent users load test at Hotstar, right? So to be able to do something like this, you need really automation experts who can help you scale an application and test it before it goes live. You really need strong architects, right? People who can think about the architecture, look at 1,000 feet view eye, and be able to design an application well so that it can actually scale, right? And also, like you said, data experts who can help manage security and data aspects of scaling an application, right? Because when an application scales, you are dealing on humongous data, and it actually impacts the performance of the API as well. It slows it down. So to be able to choose the right databases, to be able to choose right processes, right sharding, archiving, practices, and just using best standard practices across the industry is something that is recommended. So all of these roles become very important at scale: a developer, an automation expert, an architect, a data expert, and actually a security expert, and even an engineering manager for that matter, right? An engineering manager becomes an important role for them to see it all together and connect every dot basically. Yeah, that's basically what my answer would be.
And sir, what about some non-engineering roles? Like, how can
Okay,
they
so
help us?
actually that's also so product manager, it becomes very important aspect of it. Somebody who's actually understanding that what we are building is actually working out or not. And it's very easy to build a feature and test it, but how do you know whether it's performing or working well at scale or not, right? Because when 100 million users are using your product every day, you can't even get analytics so easily, right? So a product manager also becomes an important role. There are more, obviously, designer becomes a very important role because you have to design the right product, the right UI UX as well.
Okay, sir. So we have a question related to some mental health.
Okay,
Would so like
please go ahead.
how important do you think are support groups in like uplifting the someone's mental health?
Actually, very good question, and something that I will answer, from 2 points of view. There is a personal angle to it, and there is a professional angle to it, given that we are building a mental health startup, right? So personally, I feel that there is nothing better than support groups, to be honest. And this is something that is very prevalent in the West ecosystem of the world, right? In
Yes, sir,
US,
right.
in America, in South America, right? And why do the Americans kind of use support groups? Is there is a camaraderie, right? There is a community about, there is a feeling of belongingness to your community. If there are five more people who are always there for you when you need it, right? Who have gone through similar issues or similar challenges as per you, can actually offer you sound advice. Even if not sound advice, they can actually empathize with you and actually understand what you're going through. Becomes pivotal in those situations when you're feeling low. And this is something I personally felt as well, right? Right through COVID, it was getting very difficult for developers to focus, right? Because everybody wanted to do so much, right? And we at home, there was no gap between work and personal life anymore. And that's why stress increased, and I have seen it in me and my peers as well. And my peers or support group, my peers became very important, right? So at Hotstar, we were actually doing this chai pe charcha session. Actually, this is something that I was used to personally run, and this is something we do at Jumping Minds as well, where we often connect as a team from time to time and just discuss what's going in our lives and not work. It becomes very important for you to go to your support groups and to talk to them, right, to feel better. Professionally, I would say the only one concern I basically see in mental health support groups is safety and security. At times there is a lot of stigma. At times I'm not comfortable sharing my stuff out. And in those situations, if a group can anonymously kind of come together and talk about it, that would make it very powerful. But it becomes a bit difficult for people to come out in the open and actually say out what going in their mind. And under such situations, right, a lot of these products, especially like Jumping Minds and other products, which are bringing up, which are coming up with anonymous ways of getting connected to people in your groups, right? For example, Jumping Minds is launching clubs soon, right? I have personally gone through bad dreams issues, right? So imagine if I, as a kid, could have gone and joined a bad dreams club, right? Where 10 of my peers are actually there to support each other out, right? Something like that would be really magical and really powerful for a community, right? And I actually feel that, support groups as a concept is something that is powerful if, if utilized and, implemented really well, it can actually create an impact in the society as well.
Yes, sir. I totally agree with this. And sir, one more question I would like to ask is, like sometimes it becomes necessary for someone to seek professional help from a mental health expert. So,
Correct.
like, are you planning to, collaborate with some professionals in future? Like right now,
Yeah, please go ahead.
no, sir, that's it.
Very good question, actually. Something that is very relevant to Jumping Minds. And I'll tell you one thing. So when we started building Jumping Minds, there was only one thing that was on my mind and Ariva's mind was that we will try and build a safe platform, right? If we have been successful in building a safe platform, we would have actually achieved a mental health space for people to come and talk to, right? And in that regard, it actually becomes very important where, Jumping Minds offers you friends therapy, right? And this is something that is not available anywhere in the world other than your actual friends, right? And to be honest, you would all relate with me when I say that whenever you feel low, you always have that one friend you will go and talk to, right? Who will make you feel better. And that's what we are giving here at Jumping Minds. However, we do not disregard the importance and requirement of professional expert therapy, right? That is something that is very important, and there is no other alternative for that. So what we're trying to do at Jumping Minds is we're trying to add a lot of experts to the platform. There will be counseling experts, there will be academic experts, there will be professional experts, there will be sexual experts, there will be experts which are talking about queer issues, female issues, issues which are not commonly talked about in the community, and people don't have someone to go and talk to. So that is our aspect of how we will be launching expert support within Jumping Minds as well. So that's something that you can look forward to soon.
Okay, sir.
Hope that answers.
I guess that like those are all the questions we had. Would you like
Perfect.
give some advice to our hackers with like who are watching?
So I think actually really good, really good thing that you asked me. So as a hacker myself, who's been in a lot of such hackathons, I would just give one advice: don't solve for a perfect version. Solve for a version that you can kind of deliver and demo upon, because it's very important for a person to see what you've thought of in action, right? Sorry, it does not matter if it's an MVP. It does not matter if it's half built, right? Focus on building a product that is demoable in a hackathon, because people can always understand your vision and understand how you take it further, right? But if you've not made it work, they cannot actually understand how would it look in reality, right? So just focus on solving a demoable product is what I would suggest. Yeah, I hope that was personal to us. However, what we realized tech or health tech, to be honest, right? What COVID has kind of brought upon us and shown us is that this is something that is also a daily life necessity, right? It's equal to water, food, air for that matter. Because if I don't feel good, I will not feel like doing anything in life, to be honest. Right? So what's the point of everything else, right? So mental health becomes very important, and it's actually being recognized as such by users, by investors, by industry experts, all alike. And to be honest, right, I am actually a Gen Y. Gen Z is, I think, kind of pushing the limits and pushing the bar in this regard, where they're actually teaching us how to have aspirational lives, right? And everybody now aspires to have a better life. Why would I not want to feel happy in my life, right? So if that is kind of the future that is upon us, I would encourage every college student to actually focus on how can they impact mental health, because it's going to be in the market a lot for the next 5 to 10 years, definitely. And that's what me and Eriva are also kind of soul-heartedly working upon. So I think we totally believe that.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I think
Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I hope I was able to make an impact and actually help a few folks.
Surely, sir.
yes, sir. It was very inspirational. We were like delighted to have you here, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too, sir.
We'd like to express our gratitude to Elastic for being our diamond sponsor. Elastic is the company behind the Elastic Stack, that is, Elasticsearch, Kibana, Beats, and Lagstash. From stock quotes to Twitter streams, Apache logs to WordPress blogs, they help people explore and analyze their data differently using the power of search.
Until our next speaker joins, we would like to like you to pay close attention to the following guidelines. So the coding period will start at 10 p.m. tonight and last until 10 a.m. Sunday. The links to the GitHub repository should be shared to the respective team channels. Teams must produce a video of a demo outlining the product for the first round of review at 11 a.m. on Sunday, and the second round will be performed in front of judges.
Before the commencement of the coding period, we would like to bring to your kind attention the code of conduct for the event. Number one, plagiarism or reusing past work of projects is not allowed. Any kind of misbehavior will not be tolerated and may lead to disqualification.
Our next speaker will join us soon, so we will be back shortly.
Yeah.
Please stay tuned.
I'm Rohas Nagpal, and in this video, I'm going to discuss the basics of the blockchain technology. Let's start with the basic concept. A blockchain ecosystem is built across addresses, a ledger, and data. Addresses can be considered to be like your bank account number. So similarly to that, you would have an address on a blockchain and people would be able to send you assets using that address. A ledger is going to represent all the transactions that are being done by all the addresses on the blockchain. And the fundamental concept of a blockchain is that the ledger is shared, which means anybody having a node on the blockchain would be able to see all the transactions happening between all the addresses. And finally, you have data, which could be metadata relating to the transactions or proper identification and other records which can also be stored onto the blockchain. Although I'd like to clarify right in the beginning, storing a lot of data is not a good use case for any blockchain solution. Blockchains are really built for smart asset lifecycle management, and I'm going to talk about that very soon. Now let's have a look at how a blockchain would conceptually look. So here we see this red layer where we say the addresses, the shared ledger, and the data is stored. And here what we see are nodes. Now a node could be a laptop, a server, even a cell phone in some cases. And fundamentally what a node is supposed to do is, it is supposed to have all the data. So it would know all the addresses, all the transactions in the ledger, and all the data. However, practically there are times that we may architect the blockchain in a different way and there may be different types of nodes. So for example, you could have validator or mining nodes. So if it's a proof of work blockchain, and we're going to come to that concept very soon, the nodes could be involved in mining, that is validating the transactions by doing some mathematical calculations, but it is not necessary that each node is going to mine. Some nodes may simply hold the data, while other nodes may hold the data as well as mine or validate transactions. In a scenario where we do not have a pure public blockchain, but we have a private called a federated or a hybrid blockchain, we could have administrative nodes, which basically means these nodes would control the permissions that other nodes have. So blockchains can be of many different types. And later in this program, we are going to design our own hybrid blockchain. At that time, a lot of these concepts would become much clearer to you. Now, once we've understood the basic meaning of a node, let's see how a typical blockchain ecosystem could be developed. So here, let's say we have two banks, so bank A and bank B, and then we have, say, a company C. Each of these entities is communicating with the blockchain. So here what you see is a private or internal network of the bank or the company, which is connected to a node on the blockchain. So this is a node operated by bank A, and the internal network communicates with this node using the blockchain API service. Again, later in this program, we are going to see API in a lot more detail. Additionally, this entity could maintain other nodes also for redundancy. So in the normal world, we constantly need to back up data. In the blockchain world, backing up is really simple. All you need to do is connect another node to the blockchain and automatically all the data is going to get synced there. So bank A decides it would have one node to which it connects its internal network through API and another node to which it is simply not connecting itself but maintaining it, let's say for a redundancy purpose. Same could be bank B, same could be company C. On this side here, if it's a hybrid scenario or a federated blockchain, we could have admin nodes. These are the nodes which will decide which entity or which node can connect to the blockchain and what permissions does it have. Can that other node mine? Can it send and receive assets? Can it issue new assets? Can it publish data onto the blockchain? All that can be controlled. We could also have a node which is connected to a web interface and simply functions as a blockchain explorer, where in a simple user interface, you are able to see all the transactions that are happening on the blockchain in real time. Now let's see what a node would conceptually look like. So a node, like I said, could be a server, a laptop, even a cell phone. And fundamentally, the first thing that it is going to have is an operating system. Many people feel that a blockchain in itself is everything. That's not true. You first need an operating system on which you are going to install the blockchain framework. Now, this operating system, depending upon the blockchain, could be Linux, Windows, Mac. So, different blockchain frameworks support different operating systems. Now, this should be hardened, which basically means security would be done. A lot of people again think that blockchains cannot be hacked. Actually, that's wrong on multiple levels. So, at the most basic level, if someone is able to break through the operating system because there were vulnerabilities or holes left in it, that's one way they could hack the blockchain. Or then they could find and exploit a flaw in the framework itself. Or then there would be scenarios when someone manages to steal private keys. This is something we are going to cover in detail in the security aspect of our program. So let's say that now we've set up our operating system and we've hardened it. We've put a firewall in place. We've closed a lot of the ports that are not required. All that is done. The next conceptual layer would be where the keys and the assets are. Now, keys, usually the most common method used today in blockchains is the ECDSA, or the elliptical curve digital signature algorithm. And using this algorithm, keys and addresses are generated. We're going to come to that very soon. And this is what is going to be used for creating assets, transferring assets, even burning assets. Then we have the coins or the tokens, which are assets on the blockchain. Now, we use the term coin when a blockchain has its own single native asset. So for example, when we look at the Bitcoin blockchain, Bitcoin is the only asset that it supports. So we say Bitcoin is a coin. But when we look at a blockchain like Ethereum, for example, one is ETH, which is the native crypto for the blockchain. So we say ETH is the coin on the Ethereum blockchain. But people can now go and create their own digital assets on Ethereum, and those are called tokens because they are not native to the blockchain, but they are created on the blockchain after the blockchain has been set up. So ETH then is a coin, and something like the basic attention token or the BAT, that would be a token. Then we have the framework. So there are lots and lots of open source frameworks available, some of which you may have heard about. For example, Ethereum in itself or multi-chain. Bitcoin has an open source framework which you can use to set up your own blockchain. So you would take a call on which blockchain framework to use depending upon your use case. So there are times where you may feel that for our use case, let's just use an existing public blockchain and maybe connect our node to it, or maybe simply use the API service offered by that public blockchain. Or you may feel that for your use case, you need to set up your own private or hybrid blockchain. In that case, you would choose the right framework and set up your own blockchain. And that's something we are going to see in detail later in this program. Then we have the API layer, which I'm going to again explain in some time. It basically makes it very easy for a developer to connect his or her application to a blockchain without really knowing blockchain programming. So suppose in your application, let's say you're building an application in Python, and now you simply want from your application a request to go to the blockchain to generate a new address, and you want the address to be returned. You don't need to know anything about blockchain programming. You just need to call the API, send the request, and whatever output comes, display it to the user, store it in a database, or do whatever you want with it. So APIs make our lives really, really easy. And then finally we have the layer where we have the web and mobile applications, which would be the user interface that the different entities could use. So conceptually, this is what a blockchain node would be. Now let's get into some of the technical issues. The first concept that we need to understand is a hash function. Now a hash function, which is also called a one-way hash function, takes any input and gives us an output with a fixed number of units. So let's take a simple example of what we mean. There is a very popular one-way hash function called SHA-256, and whatever input you give it, it is always going to return to you a hexadecimal number with 64 digits. So now, suppose I take the word Sanya in all small letters, it is going to return this 64 character hexadecimal number to me. If the word Sanya is written in all capital letters, it is going to return 64 characters, but as you can see, they are very different. Similarly, let's say only S was capital, then again it gives me a different output. Now all these three outputs are 64 characters, they are hexadecimal, but they are differing because when the input changes, the output changes. Let's say I took a 10,000 page PDF document or a one page Word document. Again, I'm getting 64 character outputs, but the output changes. Now, this is a mathematical function, which means no matter who puts this SHA-256 library in their code, no matter whether that is Python or PHP or Windows or Linux or Mac, as long as you're using the same mathematical function, which is SHA-256 in this case, the output is going to be identical. Now, it's very important to remember that no matter which programming language you're using or which operating system you're using, the output of SHA-256 for any given input is going to be the same across platforms. So as long as the input is this Sanya in all small letters, you are always going to get this output irrespective of whether this is happening in a PHP program, a Python program, a Windows operating system, Mac, it doesn't make a difference. Because a hash function is a mathematical formula not dependent upon the technology which is used to implement that formula. Now, if you're a little new to hexadecimal, let me just explain to you what that means. As human beings, we commonly use the decimal system, which is 0 to 9. In hexadecimal, there are 16 digits, which is 0 to 9 represented as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 is represented as A, B is equal to 11, C is 12, D is 13, E is 14 and F is 15. So that is why when you look at something like this, it is not just an alphanumeric string, it is actually a number. And in the decimal form, this thing that you see here is actually this number. The second one is this number, third and fourth. So as you can notice here, in this first one, we have only the first digit 0. Then in the second one, we have two digits which are 0 and 3 and 4. And every time that we are replacing a number with a 0, we can see that in decimal, that number is reducing in value. And that's important because very soon we are going to see that in a blockchain, we talk about difficulty level and the fact that a hash should be below a certain number. And that is exactly what happens when we add these zeros. So that is why I'm going to later talk about a hash starting with a certain number of zeros. And this is the logic behind it. Now, along with this video, there is this presentation and in that links are there. So you could use this link to convert between hexadecimal and decimal just to revise and understand the concept better. Now let's just summarize what we've understood about hash functions. So a hash function takes an electronic record, which could be a PDF, a Word file, a video, email, transaction, text string, anything, and produces a fixed length output. For example, 64 characters in the case of SHA-256. Now, if that information is changed in any way, even a comma is changed in a 3000 page document, a completely different output value is produced. And that is why hash functions are used for ensuring and checking data integrity, that the data has not been modified. And they are called one-way hash functions because you can go from that input document to the hash function result of say 64 characters but not backwards, which means if I give you the 64 characters only, there is no way for you to measure what the original input was, because even a single character could give you a 64 character output. A 10,000 page document could also give you 64 characters. So there's no real way for you to go from those 64 characters back to what the original was. Now let's understand the next concept, which is a Merkle tree. So let's say we have 4 transactions. Now what could this transaction look like? So let's say this, what you see in the yellow colored box, is a transaction. So it has an address of the person sending an asset, address of the person receiving the asset, the name of the asset, which in this example is Sanya coin, and the quantity. So let's say 25 Sanya coins are being sent from this address which starts with 15 to this address which starts with 12. Now this transaction is going to be signed by the sender's private key. We'll understand this concept of private and public key a little later. But let's just say that the sender has a key pair, a private key to sign addresses, and a public key to verify that actually that person has signed the message. Now let's say this, along with its digital signature, is transaction 1. Similarly, we have transaction 2, transaction 3, transaction 4. Now, for transaction 1, we calculate a hash, which is here. For transaction 2, we have a hash here. So similarly, like we have transaction 1, 2, 3 and 4, we can say we have hash 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now we have 4 hashes, let's half them. So we take hash 1 and hash 2 and join it to each other, concatenate. Again run it through the hash function and now we have 1 hash. Similarly, we take 3 and 4, join them.
As our next speaker, we are pleased to welcome Rohas Nagpal. He is the Chief Blockchain Architect of the Wrapped Asset Project and is building the Future Money Wallet and the hybrid finance blockchain. He also conducts the Blockchain ADDS course and Crypto with Rohas. He will be here to guide you about the decentralized finance and clear all your doubts. Not only that, but you will also get a deep knowledge about its career path and how to get started.
Should I start?
Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. We're thrilled to have you.
Awesome. So I'm just going to be sharing my screen.
Yes, sir.
Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what you should ideally be able to see on your screen is a red patch in the middle which says addresses, ledger, and data. Are you able to see that?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So what I'm trying to explain in this is, let's first understand in a simple language what is the meaning of a blockchain. So what you see, that red thing in the middle, that is actually the core part of a blockchain, where addresses, a shared ledger, and data can be stored. Now, what does an address mean? Every entity on a blockchain has an address. It looks like an alphanumeric code, like a bank account number, for example. And everybody knows each other or recognizes each other or transfers tokens to each other by addresses. And then you have the ledger, which is showing you all the detailed transactions that have ever been done on that blockchain. And it is visible to everyone. That is why a blockchain is also sometimes called a shared ledger or a distributed ledger. So for example, if you look at the Bitcoin blockchain, you will be able to see every single transaction that has happened from the first day that Bitcoin started till today. So you will be able to see all addresses, how much they paid to whom or received from whom, along with the date, time, everything visible. And then there can be metadata, which can also be stored. So if we are talking about, say, a non-fungible token or NFT, now whatever metadata describes that NFT could also be stored in this patch. And then what you see here, these gray boxes looking things, those are the nodes. So you must have heard that a blockchain basically comprises a set of nodes. Now, to put it very simply, a blockchain is a computer network. This is the core part of it, and these are the different servers which are running that network. You cannot have a network without multiple computers. Same is the case here. Now, each of these nodes is connected to the blockchain and would be able to see all the data. And then depending upon which blockchain we are talking about, there are many different kinds of blockchains in the world. These nodes could have different permissions. So far, any questions? Is it all clear?
Yes, sir. We will be taking questions in the end, sir.
No, actually, take it immediately. And the moment someone has a doubt, please ask me right now. Otherwise, by the end, you may get confused. So feel free to interrupt me whenever you have a question.
Sure,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
So now, depending upon the blockchain, there may be administrative nodes. So a blockchain can be of various types, what we can call as permissioned or permissionless. So for example, when you look about Bitcoin, anybody in the world can put up a node. You can put as many nodes as you want. You don't need to take anyone's permission. So we say Bitcoin is a permissionless blockchain. But then there are others, like for example, the ones I'm working on, they are permissioned. you have to be given a permission for your node to connect. So in that case, there will be administrative nodes who will give you permission to connect. Then you can also have validator or mining nodes. So depending upon how your blockchain is achieving consensus. So, you may have heard about things like proof of work, proof of stake. I'll briefly talk about them in some time. So depending upon what kind of consensus you're using, your blockchain could have validator nodes, which is common in a proof of stake environment, or a mining node, which is common in a proof of work kind of an environment. Then this is a very important part called a blockchain explorer. So there could be a node connected to an explorer, which is a web service, which shows you all the transactions that have ever taken place on a blockchain. Then you could also have, say, a bank or a company. This is their internal network. So I'm presuming all of you guys are techies, so you understand what a computer network would be in a company or a bank. It would have databases, web application services, and so many other things. Now you can connect this internal network to a blockchain node that you are running. So suppose your company is connecting to this huge blockchain. This node which you have set up will have some unique credentials that only you will know. And then through the API service, you can connect your network, your mobile applications, your web services to this node, and thereby allow your customers or users or employees to access the blockchain. Is this clear? Any questions?
No, sir.
Clear, sir.
Okay, awesome. One more thing I'd like to briefly talk to you about is that when we talk about a blockchain node, conceptually, what does it look like? This is not reality, that in reality there are no layers, but as a concept, right at the base, we are going to have an operating system, right? Because you must remember, a blockchain does not have its own operating system. A blockchain is a software which needs an OS to run. So naturally, our OS needs to be hardened or secured. We need to block all the ports which are not being used. We need to put firewalls. We need to make sure that the latest packages are running. And we can use Linux, Windows, Mac, depending upon the blockchain framework. It supports usually all the operating systems. Then we have the keys and the assets. Now, this is a very critical layer. So ideally, before that would come the blockchain framework. So there are maybe more than 100 different frameworks in the world. For example, Bitcoin. You can actually go to the Bitcoin site, download the entire Bitcoin blockchain framework and run it on a private network and create your own version running on Bitcoin. There is no restriction. Most blockchain frameworks are open source. Once you have set it up, then the keys and assets come in. So keys are like, a private key which you will use to sign all transactions. So what makes blockchain special is that every entity has its own private key, public key, and address. And whenever you want to move tokens from your address to someone else, you have to sign with your private key. And that is why this all comes at this layer. And then blockchains have their own coins or tokens. Like you must have heard about ETH. We'll talk more about it. So if it was the Ethereum blockchain, then ETH becomes the native coin. And to move it, you would need your private key. Then we have the API service. So that makes it very easy for you to connect your blockchain node to any existing software or mobile app in the world. So it's very important to remember that you don't have to make new apps for blockchain. Existing apps can also connect to blockchains simply by using the API service. And then finally, you have your apps and UIs, which could be web or mobile. I hope that's all clear.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Now I'm going to change my screen. Okay, just give me a second. Right. So now let me briefly introduce you to the different blockchains that I work on, right? So as a blockchain architect, so that's what I do. And what my job is that a client would come to me and say, this is my use case. Now I have to figure out of all the different blockchains in the world, which is the one which is most suitable for the client. Once we identify that, then we design a network for them. So they could decide that, okay, you know what, I want to run this in my private way, or I want to connect to the public. Both options are available. Then we design a network, set up the security, set up everything, make sure that all the applications and web services are able to connect. So that's basically my job as a blockchain architect. Now I work on these 16 different blockchains. Of course, I will not be able to explain all 16 to you, but I'll tell you a little bit about the most important ones. So I'm sure you guys have all heard about Ethereum. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to clarify that Ethereum is actually not a blockchain. Ethereum is a protocol. Anyone wants to tell me what a protocol is? So you all techies. What is a protocol in the tech world? Anyone? Don't feel shy. It's okay if you're wrong. But tell me, what do you think a protocol means? Anyone? Okay, you guys are feeling very shy. So when you browse the internet, have you ever noticed HTTPS?
Yes,
Right?
sir.
What does it stand for? Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. Or when you send emails, you're using POP, which is Post Office Protocol, or SMTP, which is Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So a protocol is a way of doing things. So your emails follow it, your web browsing, everything follows a protocol. So Ethereum is a protocol. There are different blockchains which use Ethereum as its protocol. And the main one is called mainnet. So when you use the word Ethereum, you are actually talking about the Ethereum mainnet. Is that part clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now anybody in the world can come and run their business on Ethereum. So that is where we use this term called decentralized finance. So you can decide that I want to run my own something like a bank, or I want to run my own insurance company. So I will create these smart contracts. I'll show you what a smart contract looks like. I can create all that on Ethereum, but whenever I do transactions on Ethereum, I have to pay for it. So there is something called a gas fee that only if I pay that amount, I'm able to run transactions, which are smart contracts. And this ETH is the native cryptocurrency of Ethereum. And I have to pay all transaction fee in ETH. So when the price of ETH goes up too much, then we cannot do business on Ethereum. And then we decide to go on to cheaper blockchains like Binance or Polygon. So that's the brief concept of Ethereum. It was the first in the world to come out with this concept called a Ethereum virtual machine. And the beauty of Ethereum is you can run smart contracts which automate a lot of things, and they open up the world to a huge amount of businesses which were earlier not possible. Any questions so far?
No, sir. All clear. No questions.
Oh, awesome. Then you may have heard about this blockchain called as the Binance. So Binance actually started off as a crypto exchange, but then they also have multiple blockchains. So one is called Binance Chain, but that is only for trading, optimized for crypto trading. The more important one is called Binance Smart Chain. And that is where you can create your own tokens, and the transaction fee is very low. So as Ethereum has become very expensive, most of the work that we do today, Binance is usually the number one choice for us. And it's a very good, very similar to Ethereum. It's very, very compatible to EVM, but the transaction fee is very cheap. That is the reason we use Binance. So those of you who are actually thinking about getting into blockchain as a career, ideally, I would recommend that you start studying Binance Smart Chain. And later on, of course, you can always learn Ethereum. But I think Binance is probably going to be even more important in the future. Any questions? Yes, no?
No, sir. I could not see.
Okay. Then we have Polygon. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. It's an Indian project and one of the
Yes.
most famous in the world. So actually, Polygon did not start off as a blockchain. Polygon started off as a L2 scaling solution for Ethereum. So the logic was that Ethereum mainnet is slow and costly. So Polygon came out with some very innovative solutions to make the Ethereum transactions faster and cheaper. But today it also has its own blockchain, and their native crypto is called Matic. Of course, recently it suddenly became very expensive because somebody created a new game on Polygon. Because a huge number of people started to use that game, the transaction fee suddenly went up by 10x. So that is also a problem that sometimes happens in blockchain, that temporarily the price could spike. And that is why today a lot of us, we take the decision, instead of totally relying upon one blockchain, we actually prepare to run multiple blockchains. And our application has APIs from multiple blockchains, so that if something happens to one, we can immediately move our business to the second one. So when we look at it from that point of view, Binance, Ethereum, Polygon, these are probably one of the most, and of course Terra. These are my favorites. And if you're looking at doing something more towards mobile phones, so if you want a mobile phone friendly blockchain, then Cello is the perfect one. So these are the important blockchains out of the 16 that I commonly use. All
Sir,
clear?
I have one question. Like,
Sure.
do you think the rising of transaction fees is inevitable for any crypto?
That's an excellent question. I would agree with you. Yes, as a blockchain becomes more popular and more people start to use it, automatically the gas fee starts to increase. And that is why in my personal project, which I'm working on, which is called the hybrid finance blockchain, we do not have a native crypto. So that means the architecture is such that even in future, there can never be gas fee. The revenue model in our blockchain is very different, so we don't have a concept of gas fee. But other than that, you're right. As a blockchain becomes more popular, the gas fee increases. Or as its token becomes more popular and the value goes up, automatically the gas fee or the transaction fee increases. Any other questions?
No, sir, no, not this far.
Okay. I'd like to also talk to you about something very interesting called this tax blockchain. So now, if you may notice in all this, I have not mentioned Bitcoin anywhere because Bitcoin started off as something very different. It is only supposed to be using the Bitcoin cryptocurrency, which you can use as a medium of exchange or as a store of value. But Bitcoin was not supposed to do anything else. It was never supposed to run smart contracts. But people realize that because Bitcoin is very popular and extremely secure, why not try to build smart contracts on top of Bitcoin? And that is where projects like Stacks come in. So they are parallelly running to Bitcoin, they connect to it, they run some kinds of smart contracts here, but finally all settlements happen on the Bitcoin network. So they become like, you can kind of consider a layer 2 to Bitcoin. So that is where something like Stacks may also do well in the long run, because it is connected to Bitcoin. Then we also have another very popular blockchain called Polkadot. So they've taken a different approach, which I have also gotten inspiration for my project from, where they have a network of blockchains. So consider it, they're called parachains. So parallelly, multiple blockchains are running. And at the base, there is something called relay chain. The consensus runs there, and all the parallel chains, they run different use cases. So if you make separate blockchains for each use case, then the chances are good that your blockchain will not get overburdened. Like Ethereum, everything is happening on one chain, so it can become very slow. But in Polkadot, because we are using multiple parallel chains, it can handle a lot more load. Any questions?
Not so far, sir.
Okay, awesome. Now what I'm going to do is, let me show you what a smart contract looks like. Have you guys ever worked around smart contracts? Yes, no?
Personally, I am not.
Okay. So can I presume most of the people listening it have not? So then I'll explain from the basics.
Yeah, majority of them have not.
Okay, awesome. So what I'm showing you right now is a platform called Open Zeppelin. Can the rest of you just mute? I'm hearing a lot of disturbance in the background. When you have a question, you can unmute. Till then, if you just keep it on mute. Perfect. So I'm using something called Open Zeppelin. See, when you create a smart contract, you always have an opportunity to learn and then create it on your own. So you learn Solidity, which is a programming language, and then you create your own. But the point is, you will make mistakes. There will be security problems. So it is better to use ready-made templates. That is where Open Zeppelin comes in, completely open source, and they make it easy for us to create smart contracts and tokens. Let me show you what I mean. So as you can notice here, ERC20, ERC721, and ERC1155. These are different standards. So ERC20 is for fungible tokens, ERC721 is for non-fungible tokens, and 1155 is a new thing which is coming. And ERC is Ethereum, but many other blockchains also support ERC. So Binance and everyone will also support it. So what is the meaning of fungible? So, you have a mobile app, you have an app for your bank. Whatever money you are holding in that app, that is equal to each other. So if I have 10,000 rupees in my app and you have 5,000 rupees in your app, it is the same. Your 5,000 rupees don't look different from my 5,000 rupees. So that is why we say fungible. When all units of something are the same, we say it is a fungible asset, right? So electronic money is fungible. Is physical currency also fungible? Would anyone like to tell me? Physical currency notes. Can I say that all 500 rupee notes are the same, identical value? Anyone?
Yes, any 500 rupees note could be of the same value.
Okay. Now I'll tell you why I disagree. You remember what happened at demonetization? The government suddenly said that the old 500 rupee note has no value left. So suddenly, Some 500 rupee notes became zero value and new 500 rupee notes at full value. Sometimes people are ready to pay extra money to buy a 500 rupee note which has their date of birth as a number on it. So we realize physical currency notes are not identical to each other because government can demonetize it. And then we call those non-fungible. Another example of non-fungible would be art. Every single painting in the world is different from each other. Even if the same artist makes 10 paintings, they are different. So we call art as non-fungible, electronic money as fungible. I hope that concept is clear. If you have any questions, please ask. Otherwise, I'll move forward. Okay, I'm presuming it's all clear. So now what I'm going to show you is how do we create, say, a non-fungible token. So the first step is we give it a name. So we can give it whatever name we feel like. So let's say I just give it my own name. Right. So now as I'm typing here, you may notice that something is constantly changing here. So depending on what I'm doing here, you will see in this part code is being written. Now here you can see that MTK is written. Now I will change the symbol and I'll make it my name. So immediately you see that has changed here. I can then decide, do I want to pre-mint? Now this is a very important concept. When Bitcoin started, on day one, when the first block was mined, there were 0 Bitcoins in the world. And then as every block is being mined, certain number of Bitcoins are being created and they will continue for some time and there will be maximum of 21 million only. So we say Bitcoin was not pre-mined. Everything started once the blockchain became live. But other platforms like Binance, for example, they are not like that. When they started, there was a certain number of tokens already minted. So we can choose that here. So let's say I want to say that I want to start with 1 million. I have said that there are going to be these many tokens pre-mined and we can keep it up to 10 decimal places. That's common. Then I can choose different features. So now if you notice, the moment I click mintable, suddenly one new line has come in here. When I click burnable, new line has come. So one by one, as I'm clicking these, you can see the code is building up. Oh, what does all this mean? So when we talk about mintable, we mean that once the initial tokens are created, which is this 1 million, can we create more? If yes, then a certain number of codes get added and it becomes mintable. Then there is a very interesting concept called burnable. Anyone has an idea what it means? Burnable, from the name, what do you think it means? Anyone wants to take a guess? Okay. So burnable basically means, can you destroy some cryptos? So you cannot delete anything on a blockchain, but every crypto comes with something called a burn address. If you transfer crypto to that address, automatically it is destroyed forever because that address has no known private key. Now you will wonder, why should we ever burn a crypto? So Binance is a classic example. They started with 200 million cryptos and every 3 months they burn some cryptos till they will have only 100 million left. So what happens is when you burn cryptos, you are reducing the supply and thereby the price increases. So if you want your crypto to be burnable, then you have to tick this. Possible is, suppose there is a hack attack which happens on your platform. Do you want someone to be able to pause all transactions so that the fraud can be stopped? Then you would click possible. So those are the most important. You can also have voting. So if you want people to be able to vote based on how many tokens they have, we usually call that concept as a DAO, or a decentralized autonomous organization. So if you want your tokens to also be used as governance tokens for voting, then you can tick this. So like this, we choose all the different options. I won't go into flash minting. That's a little complex for you guys for now. Once we have selected all these options, we can enter our email address. Then we push this to an IDE, or a development environment, integrated development environment, which here you can see is called Remix. And then we pay some gas fee. So we attach our address to it, which is going to pay the gas fee. And then this contract actually gets broadcast to the blockchain. We can choose Ethereum, Polygon, Binance, and our token or crypto actually gets created on that. It's a very simple process. You just fill up forms like this, open it in Remix, attach your address, pay the money, and your token is created within seconds. And if I was doing it for 721, which is non-fungible, There you can see another new thing has come, which is for the base URL. That what is the website URL? So I can put whatever I want here, where basic information about this token, because we are creating a non-fungible token. Maybe it's a piece of art. So what is going to be this URL where anybody who holds this NFT will be able to go and get full details about the NFT. Other than that, you'll find it's very similar to a fungible token. Questions? Let me stop sharing for some time.
No, sir, not so far.
Just give me a second. Okay. So far, is it absolutely clear? Okay, you guys are really brilliant because no one has any questions for me. Usually people don't get it that fast. So if you're not, don't feel shy. Even if your question sounds basic, you have a doubt, please ask. Otherwise, I'll continue. All clear? Okay. Let me share my screen. Now, let me show you. Are you able to see my screen? And it says 2073 here. Are you able to see that? Yes? No?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. Now, what I want to show you is, I want to show you what keys actually look like. So I'm going to, let's say we start with Bitcoin, right? So whenever anybody in the world wants to use Bitcoin, first thing they need is an address. So there are many ways you can go and very easily create what is called as a wallet. In crypto, you don't actually get anything physical. Like just like when your money is in a bank, ultimately the bank account number is important. Based on that, bank can tell you your balance. Similarly, in the crypto world, you need a wallet, and a wallet usually comprises three things. In some wallets, there may be a fourth. Let's ignore for now. These are the three most important things. One is the private key and one is the public key. Now, if you're familiar with the concept of digital signatures, whenever you want to create a digital signature, you will sign with your private key and anybody in the world can verify with your public key. So because crypto and blockchain run on this concept of digital signature, every entity will first create a wallet which will have a private key, a public key, and an address which is a smaller version of your public key. And then in some cryptos, you may have something called a WIF, which is a wallet import format, which is a shorter version of your private key, but it's not in all blockchains, so let's ignore. These are the three critical things. Once I create this, I can give this address to anyone in the world and they can send Bitcoin to that address. To send Bitcoin, they will need to have a balance in their own wallet. They will sign the transaction with their private key and send it to me. Once I get the Bitcoin, I can use my private key to sign and transfer the Bitcoin to someone else. So if anybody in the world comes to know your private key, all your cryptos can be taken away by them. So you have to keep your private key extremely safe. So far, any questions? Is it all clear?
Yes, sir. All clear.
Okay. Then another thing I want you to remember is this address is not the same for all blockchains in the world. So the same person, when the same person wants to use Ethereum, they will have to create a new wallet. And if you realize here, the Ethereum address seems a lot longer than the Bitcoin one. The length is not important, but you'll notice that it looks also different. It's structured differently. What you have to remember is your Bitcoin address is not the same as your Ethereum address. Secondly, if someone sends Ethereum to your Bitcoin address, it is lost forever because that's an invalid address. You can never get anything back. It's not like a ping which is sent on, say, the TCP/IP protocol that you will get some data back. Nothing will come back to you. So if you end up sending a Dogecoin to a Bitcoin address, it's gone. Ethereum, ETH to a Bitcoin address, it's gone. You have to make sure you generate wallets for each blockchain that you want to use and only then send the relevant token to that. So far, is it clear? I hope it's not too confusing.
No, sir, it's clear.
Awesome. So like this, then you have thousands of different cryptos in the world. Some of the most common you may have heard about: Bitcoin, Dogecoin, Ethereum, Litecoin. These are the ones that are very, very commonly used. So some of these platforms allow you to create tokens on top of them. So Ethereum being the classic example, we can use smart contract programming to create our own token on top of Ethereum. And today there may be hundreds of thousands of tokens running on Ethereum. So classic example would be something called BAT, or basic attention token. So your client may come to you and say, okay, create a new token for me on Ethereum. Bitcoin, on the other hand, will not allow you to do that natively. Bitcoin says, no, my blockchain is only meant for one crypto, which is Bitcoin. If you want to use that, great. Otherwise, I can't help you. Ethereum, on the other hand, says you can come and create as many tokens on top of me. So those are usually two very different kinds of blockchains. One which is running only a single crypto, example is Bitcoin or Dogecoin or Litecoin. One which runs all sorts of other projects, which is called a DeFi blockchain or a decentralized finance blockchain, and that is classic example is Ethereum. Like I said, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. Okay. Now, when we, yeah, you have a question? I'm presuming no. Now, when we talk about blockchains, naturally we have to talk about crypto because that is the most important use case. And you will realize that in the world there are about 10,000 active cryptos. If you look at the inactive ones, then the amount is about 18, 19,000. And there are more 1,500 different exchanges where you can go and exchange your cryptos. But usually in the crypto world, we don't prefer to use centralized exchanges. Right? Have you guys ever heard of a name of any exchange? Anyone? Have you ever heard of any crypto exchange? Maybe in India, maybe abroad? Oh, yes, no. I hope I'm audible to all of you. Yeah. Have you guys ever heard of an exchange? Maybe you heard of things like Binance or CoinDCX or WazirX. Ever heard of them?
Yes, sir.
So those are called centralized exchanges. Why do we call them centralized exchanges? Because you need to go there, give your KYC, and they control the transactions. So when you use a centralized exchange, your crypto is not actually with you. You are giving over control of your crypto to them, and your wallet is not used. Your private key doesn't come into the picture. You log in using a username password and move your crypto around, but actually it is under their control. And if they run away or they become bankrupt, all your crypto is gone. That is why we usually prefer to use a decentralized exchange like Uniswap. Right. So here, are you able to see on my screen the word swap written here?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So awesome. So what a decentralized exchange allows is without needing a username password, you can connect your wallet, which is in your browser, for example. You may be able to see the word connect wallet here. And it doesn't ask you to identify who you are. It connects you, and then you can exchange between any tokens. And you can even create something called a liquidity pool and earn money when people come and exchange cryptos. So Uniswap was one of the world's first decentralized exchanges, and it is only for tokens running on Ethereum. Another one called PancakeSwap is only for tokens running on Binance. So like this, for different blockchains, you have different decentralized exchanges. So that's a very important concept to remember. So centralized versus decentralized exchanges. Is it clear? Any questions? Okay, I'm presuming it's all clear.
Clear, sir.
Okay, awesome. Now I want to talk to you about some of the most important terms in the crypto world. We already spoke about blockchains. Those are networks. These are the 16 important ones. Then we have currencies. So those cryptos which are used as currencies, all are not used. Out of the 8-10,000, only a few are actually used as currencies. And the biggest examples would be Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, Litecoin, Monero, and Zcash. Now, there's one very important difference I want you to understand. People think that blockchains are very anonymous. Actually, they are not. We call most blockchains pseudo anonymous because every time you make a transaction, anybody can go to a blockchain explorer. Let me just quickly show you what a blockchain explorer looks like. I'll show you what a blockchain explorer looks like. Anybody in the world can go there. So right now we are looking at the Bitcoin blockchain. it doesn't show anything. It hides addresses, transactions, date times, and amounts. So blockchains can also be fully anonymous. Then we have a very important concept which is called as DAO, or decentralized autonomous organizations. Maybe in the long run, all companies in the world will become DAOs. So in a DAO, what happens is people get together, they put money into this shared account, and then they vote what to do with the money, where to invest it. So I'm sure you guys have heard about mutual funds. In mutual funds, you give your money to someone else, that person will invest on your behalf in the stock market, take a commission, and maybe you'll make a profit. In a DAO, you are responsible for decisions. So depending upon who has how much money in the DAO, your vote has more importance, and then you vote what to do with the money of the DAO. So it kind of makes your investment decisions absolutely under your control. Is it clear? Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Then we have a concept called DeFi, or decentralized finance. So centralized finance is what we have today in the world, like banks, stock exchanges, insurance companies. They are all regulated by the government. You need to do your KYC, etc. But when you try to do these same kind of businesses on the blockchain, we call it DeFi, or decentralized finance. And these are some of the top protocols in that. So you remember I was talking to you about Uniswap. So that is here. Pancake Swap is here. And like this, there are many different ones. Then there's a very interesting field which is gaming and metaverse. I'm sure you guys have heard about it. I'm sure you guys have seen a movie called Matrix or Avatar or Ready Player One. So a metaverse, I'm sure you heard about it. Even Facebook has changed its name to Meta. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to create virtual worlds where your virtual avatar can go and do stuff. I remember using metaverse way back in 2003, I think, when there was a metaverse called Second Life. It is still there. So it's a very old concept. It's not a new concept. Now you can create a digital avatar of yourself, and you can make the avatar whatever you want. As handsome, strong, tall, whatever you want, you can do that there. And then your avatar can interact with other people. So you can wear a special headset, and you can wear haptic gloves. So when you shake hands with someone, it feels as if you're actually meeting someone. But you are in your home, and you can get the feeling that you are with your friends in another country. So South Korea is now putting their entire capital city of Seoul on the metaverse. So instead of actually going there, Seoul on the metaverse. So instead of actually going there, you can sit at home anywhere in the world and do a virtual visit of the metaverse of South Korea, for example. So I think metaverse is going to be a really huge concept, and a lot of people today are buying virtual land. Yeah, you have a question? Okay.
Yes, sir. Like, can the metaverse like become like as we have seen in Matrix?
Yeah. Yes, it is actually heading in that direction. And so, of course, in Matrix, there is some element of science fiction where they show all human beings are actually tied up to some chair and there's a wire going into their head and all that. That part obviously may not become true. But other than that, you will not be able to make out the difference between the real world and the metaverse. I mean, of course, it will take a few years for it to reach that level, but it's going to completely change everything. I mean, let me ask you guys a question. Would you prefer to visit places in real or through the metaverse? What do you prefer?
For real, maybe.
Or you want to go real? Okay. Anyone here who doesn't want to go real and wants to probably just do it in the virtual way? Okay, so maybe it's an age thing, but I would prefer to do things virtually because see, in the real world, do you realize how much pain there is to travel? You need to buy a ticket, you need to get a visa, you need to spend so many hours traveling. You could end up meeting crazy people who may steal your money. But in the virtual world, you just click a button and you can go wherever you want. Right? I think more and more people will start to use the metaverse, especially for education, maybe for entertainment. Maybe offices of the future will also be metaverse. Sit at your home, but get the feeling that you're sitting with everyone else. No chance of getting a disease like COVID in the metaverse. So it has its own plus and minus points. And now many of the metaverses are also selling land. So I don't know, have you guys heard of a singer called Daler Mehndi? It's pretty popular once upon a time.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Daler Mehndi has also bought a virtual land and he's calling it Balle Balle land. Right. So people are going and buying on virtual land and then they will make virtual building and then they can run a business from there. So things are actually happening in a very interesting way. And then why I mentioned gaming with it is because many of the new games, they are all blockchain based. So it is a concept called play to earn. You play a game and you get crypto, you can sell the crypto and make money. So people can actually make playing games as a source of revenue. So those of you who like gaming, it's an awesome way to make a career. Finally, there is a concept called Web3. I'm sure many of you have heard about it. So what Web3 is that, Web 1 was the original version of the internet where few companies were putting up websites, and as a user, we could only read the website. Then came Web 2, which was user generated content. So people like Facebook came and said, users create the content, other users consume the content. So YouTube is also the same way. But the content is controlled by the centralized entities like Facebook or Google. In Web3, they're talking about a world where the content would be on blockchains, it would be decentralized, and we would not use entities like Google and Facebook. How true that is, only time will tell. But there are some very interesting projects that have already started working. So, for example, Audius is for music streaming, and there's another one, Theta, which is for video streaming. LivePeer is for video encoding, and all these are in a very decentralized fashion. Like I'm sure you guys have heard about Airbnb. So in Airbnb, you can rent out your room for 1 day at a time also. So if you have a house with 4 rooms and one room is empty for 1 day, you can rent it out. Filecoin is similar, where it says that if you have extra storage place in your hard disk, rent it out for a few hours and we will give you money. So a lot of very interesting revenue models are being created. And you can use platforms like all these for actually making money in a very nice decentralized fashion. Of course, more and more projects are going to keep coming up. So these are some of the core things that people are today working on. Clear? Any questions? Yes, no?
No, sir.
Okay. Now that we've covered all this, let me briefly talk to you about what are the kind of career options available. So we usually talk about 3 areas. I would like to talk about, actually, since you guys are not from a finance background, let me talk more about tech careers in this. So usually here there are 3 options. So you could get into blockchain development, blockchain architecture, or blockchain security. Now, if you want to become a developer, then these are the kind of things that you're usually going to do. So you are going to create tokens or assets for people. I showed you a very simple example of the smart contract. Of course, in real life, you may have to do more complex development, but this gives you an idea. You will need to develop and upgrade protocols, or you will need learn how to integrate APIs from blockchain, connecting it to the front-end applications. Those are also called dApps or distributed applications, and developing smart contracts. That's what a developer would do. I work as an architect. What we do is we have to identify the best blockchain framework for the client's use case, which is why as an architect, I need to know about all the blockchain frameworks that are there. While I actively work on 16, I probably have to know about 50 more. And then, of course, we have to design the networks for them. And if you want to get into security, in that case, you would, secure blockchain networks, or you would do something called smart contract auditing. Now, some of the latest areas that are emerging in blockchain. So I spoke to you about DAOs, which is decentralized autonomous. That's a huge area to work in. Metaverse, again, very good. Non-fungible tokens or NFTs, we've again discussed. That's also huge. Play to earn games, more and more are being developed. Web3, we've spoken about. I'll briefly tell you what a bridge means. So when I showed you Uniswap, I told you that only Ethereum tokens can be exchanged. When I show in PancakeSwap, only Binance can be exchanged. A bridge connects different blockchains. So imagine if you are able to swap an Ethereum token for a Binance token. That is the kind of thing that a bridge would enable. So that's again a huge area to work in. Many startups are working in that area. And then there is something called wrapped assets, where physical assets are wrapped and their representation is traded on the blockchain. So for example, in Brazil, they have started coffee coin. And every coffee coin is backed by 1500 kgs of coffee bean, which is stored in some godown. Some custodian verifies and says, yes, it is there. And against it, tokens are created on the blockchain, which people can then trade. So that's another very important area that you could possibly work in. Let me stop my presentation. So this is kind of an overview of what I wanted to discuss. I will share some links with you of my other videos, which if you guys want to move more into this area, you should look at it. I also run a free online course called Blockchain ADDS. which teaches you blockchain administration, design, development, security, completely free. Next, third batch starts on 13th April. So I'll share the URL. You guys can share it with your members, and please feel free to join that course.
Yes, sir, sure.
Now I want questions.
Okay, sir. Can you comment on the future of a blockchain in supply chain logistics?
Sure, that's an excellent question. So there is one blockchain platform called VChain, and that is working in the supply chain area. Let me give you an example how it works. So suppose a ship is coming from China, going all the way to the US, and in that they are going to be carrying, let's say, food items which can get destroyed. Suppose they are carrying non-veg in it, right? Now, in that container, the temperature is supposed to be maintained at a certain level. Or let's say they're carrying vaccines. And if even for 5 minutes, the temperature goes above, the entire lot will be rejected because it will get spoiled. Now, the point is, how will you come to know? So that is where IoT comes in, Internet of Things. So you have these sensors which can be put in the container, and they are broadcasting the details about what is the temperature right now. Every second they are broadcasting. Now, where does the blockchain come in? So what some people are doing is this data which is being broadcast is being stored in a blockchain, and multiple people can access it, including the shipping company, the seller, and the buyer, and then even the customer. So when you buy it, you will scan a QR code and it'll tell you, okay, you know what, this is what you're buying right now, how it was actually being transported, what was the temperature at that time. All this kind of data comes in. So yes, I think those kind of use cases will do well. So connecting IoT, in fact, there is one blockchain project called, I think, HNT, Helium, which is actually doing exactly this, connecting IoT to blockchain. So yeah, I think there are some good projects in there.
Okay, sir. We have like one more question. Like, as Hint is giving NFT prizes to the winners, so what do you think about the future of NFTs?
Okay, very good point. So I'm very bullish on NFTs because again, that's an area I work in. So, but I think an NFT has to have, so there are many types of NFTs, right? So one is a collectible NFT. So, like, did you guys ever collect stamps when you were
Yes,
young?
sir. Yes,
Awesome.
sir.
So now imagine if a government says that the postage stamp has a QR code, when you scan it, you also get the NFT version of the postage stamp. So people who like to collect stamps may want to collect such things. So countries like Austria, Switzerland, UAE, they've already started these kinds. So we call those collectible NFTs. Then we have NFT domain names. So like .com, you have to actually pay every year. And it doesn't belong to you. They can take it away from you. But now people are creating domain names on the blockchain. Pay once and it is yours forever and nobody can take it away from you. So .eth and many other such ones available. Again, those are NFTs. Then we also have the metaverse assets. Like suppose you play a game. Now in the normal world, when you play a game and you win some lives or guns, can you sell those? Usually no. But in the new kind of blockchain based games, each asset is actually an NFT, and then you can sell that. Let me give you another example. Right now behind me, can you see a wallpaper? So in my physical home, I have to pay and buy a physical wallpaper. Now suppose I create a virtual home in the metaverse. There I will want the home to look nice. I will buy the NFT version of this wallpaper and take it into my metaverse home and put it on my wall. So those are also NFTs, which are called in-game or in metaverse assets. So like I wear a black t-shirt in real life, I can buy a black t-shirt in the virtual world. So Gucci is selling handbags in a virtual format, which is again NFT. Or Nike is selling virtual shoes as an NFT. So even those NFTs are doing well. And then finally are the standard digital NFTs. So in my project, we call them hybrid NFTs, where each NFT comes with a copyright license so that you can use it for commercial purposes. So I'm very bullish on NFTs.
Okay, sir. Sir, also, what do you think about the legal and government issues like the future of blockchain and crypto is facing these days?
Sure. So government is very, very bullish on blockchain because that's just a technology. But they are quite anti-crypto because they feel it can be misused by criminals, money laundering, tax evasion. So in India, by and large, the government is a little strict. So what they have done is now they have put the 30% tax. Well, honestly, if you ask me personally, I don't think 30% tax is such a bad thing, but many people are unhappy with it. See, you have to anyway pay income tax, right? Unfortunately, they don't teach us in school, but one of the most important things in the world that all of us have to know is how to calculate tax, right? Because you spend so much time earning money, but then half of it goes away in tax. So anyway, we have to pay tax, but on crypto, there is a fixed 30% tax that has come in. But other than that, I think the government is quite okay with crypto. Any
Okay,
other
sir.
questions?
Also, what do you think about layer 2 solutions and
Sure.
the future?
So that's where things like Polygon come in. So where Ethereum is slow and costly, you have a layer 2 of Polygon which pegs to it and once in a while passes transactions to it. Now, logically, there should never be layer 2. The blockchain itself should be good enough to handle everything, right? So I think once Ethereum, there is something called the merge which is coming in. Once that comes in, Ethereum will not be proof of work. It will become proof of stake and probably become much faster and cheaper. Then you probably may not need a layer 2. So I think ideally in the long run, layer 2s will not exist.
Okay, so what advice would you like to give the beginners? Like a lot of people who are watching are beginners. So what advice would you like to give them?
So if you guys are techies, then I think this is one of the best areas to work in because the salaries are probably the highest, right? Especially if you look at Web3 developers, you get paid huge amounts of money and it's just beginning, right? So I would say don't get into the conventional developing because there are lakhs of people already there, right? When you look at conventional development, you will be competing with half the world. But if you get into blockchain, Web3, NFT, these kind of development, architecture, it's just the beginning. You'll most probably get really good jobs, paying very well, and you have a very good growth. So I would recommend start fast. Don't wait till you pass out of college. Immediately start, learn about it, start development, start creating your own applications, try to get internships with startups, and then maybe start your own, but get into the field. Get in as soon as possible. I have two daughters, one is in 9th standard, one is in 12th standard. And both of them have been working in crypto for many years now. So they do it more from the finance side of it. But well, I think it's the future. So I would strongly recommend you guys to get into blockchain and crypto.
Yes, sir, sure. We would love to watch your videos and learn more.
Sure.
I think
Yes, sir.
that's it for questions. We do not
It
have
was a
any.
very informative session.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today.
Sure. My pleasure. Yeah. Okay.
As to, sir. Thank you,
Take
sir.
care. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
sir. Bye, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Since we were talking about blockchain, don't forget to check out FIRE, a fifth generation sustainable blockchain, creating the shift from a for profit to a for benefit paradigm.
As we commence the coding period, you will like to bring to your kind attention the code of conduct for the event. Plagiarism or reusing past work or projects is not allowed. Any kind of misbehavior will not be tolerated or may lead to disqualification.
Also, note these rules. The coding period will start at 10 p.m. tonight and last until 10 a.m. Sunday. The links to the GitHub repository should be shared to the respective team channels. Teams must produce a video of a demo outlining their product for the first round of review at 11 a.m. on Sunday, and the second round will be performed in front of the judges.
We hope you enjoyed the session and we wish you all best of luck. We look forward to seeing such amazing and revolutionary hacks from you all. Happy hacking, guys.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you.